so I replied to you. So, undeliverable. I don't. I'll take it. You have this tomorrow. Yeah, this is just for another, because it's 8 months, so we made 3,500 or 32. But the tax money's here for but yeah, it's like this. I can take it now. Do you want to take it back or will you drop it? I'll take it back. We forgot to Where's my note?
Thank you.
I know that I did. No, okay, so I saw this thing that I got a meeting. I didn't know if you did. And it's a graph, and then you fill out everything you did, and you would just submit it. I mean, if you don't want to, it's a, so I think, a report, and if you want to send something, that way we have a form. I saw another Township. I just didn't want to make it. I think they probably have turned it off. Hello? Yeah. Well, how are you? Yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry, somebody said the phone wasn't coming out. And then I emailed him and he was like, you have them come out for an afternoon. He was like, I don't know, it's here, and it has a meeting out here. And I was like, well, we read this. And I was like, yeah, that's a problem. Is that not a problem? So Dave was talking about the lanes we fixed it, right? I go in and take the lanes we fixed, but we need a video.
That's not an option up there.
There's nothing going on.
It's 2025. It's all of the days for me, but it was that. And she said when I immediately went in and it tells me I got that that's easy. I'm always on the phone. I was doing it instead of paying attention to the check number. I printed all that. It's just this big clusters. We're gonna see this stuff. Just let me know. They're all. They should be all. And purposely being that's being like.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance and I'll go to the podium. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for another opportunity to come here tonight safely to do the work of Banks Township. Lord, we ask for your guidance and wisdom as we review those matters before us, and just ask for your hand of calm and peace across this whole township and community. Lord, all these things we ask in Jesus' name. All right, I think I've just got one. Sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Does that help at all? Okay. All right, I got one addition to the agenda. I would like to add into old business the insurance RFP that we did last month. I talked to the insurance agent and just want to chat about that real quick. So that would be my only amendment. Does anybody else? It's in there. Oh. I apologize. I thought I took that out. Okay, whatever. Sorry, it's not. No amendment needed then. My bad. Anybody have any other amendments to the agenda for tonight? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I would request a public comment that we hear the people from Banks Township first, and then we hear the people outside of Township.
Yes.
That's fine. I don't care what order we do it in. I mean, that's fine. Just organize it. So, is that okay with everybody else?
What would be the point of doing that?
Just organizes
we just
the.
ask people to state their township of residence.
I guess it's
Yeah.
so they're not intermixed into. I don't know. Is that an opposition? I'm just asking.
If everyone can organize themselves in that order, I guess.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Let's do, not yet. Does anybody have a motion to approve this agenda? Okay, Julie moves, Richard supports to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed the same? All right. we'll get on to the public comment tonight. I'm just gonna put this out there. You guys are here to talk to us and give us your opinion on any matter that you want. I got a pretty good guess of what you guys want to talk about, but anything you want to discuss, feel free to present those comments to us. I will, just as a preamble here, let you know we are not voting on this issue, the zoning repeal tonight. It is still making its way to the county planning commission, and that it has to come back to from there before we can do anything with it. We need to get their comments, whatever those might be. So with that, oh yeah, if you want to be recorded in the minutes, please say your name, preferably your township of residence. If you don't say your name, it won't end up in the minutes because Julie doesn't know everybody. So please, if that's something that you desire, make that known. Anybody want to make public comment on the zoning issue? Just raise your hand. I just want to see a count of hands. All right. Can I get the people who are, for Marv's benefit here, can I get those who are from Banks Township that want to make those claims, or those, not claims, I said the wrong word, my apologies. Comment, I want you to just start a line here, and please use the mic, and then those from outside the township will be second, if that works for everybody. With that, 3 minutes, please.
My name's Patty Wiltsey. I live in Banks Township, lived here all my life. My family has lived here for hundreds of years, but I also am a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 40 years, and I spent my career taking care of my neighbors, and it distresses me a lot that my tax dollars are used for zoning and to hire attorneys to fight with my neighbors. I don't like it. The planning meeting, I want to say something about that. This room was packed solid, but a lot of people that were speaking weren't from Banks Township. And I know people that wanted to get in the door and couldn't get in the door, and I don't think that that's right. Now also, Mr. Strange said that the people who come and voice their opinions is how we base our decisions. That's not right. I know of at least 6 couples that sat there with me and they didn't feel like getting up and talking. Everybody's not comfortable. I'm not comfortable, but I do it because I think it's very, very important. Besides, that is discounting all the signatures that we have on the petition asking for this to be put on the ballot. So yes, I think when the doctors came and Jason DeBrew came and they were raised here and they love Banks and they want to give their opinion and they both said no zoning. Irregardless, I do understand those people. And I understand you saying, okay, there's people that pay taxes, but they don't vote, so they don't have a voice. Okay, I've got family that way too. My sister and her husband and child, who's voting age, live in Florida, but she pays taxes on 40 acres. I have another sister who lives in Central Lake, but she pays taxes on 40 acres. None of our family has ever liked zoning, and it's not Marv Rubin's fault. Everybody wants to seem to blame everything on Marv. The one lady, that real estate lady from South Arm Township, she stood here and basically said she hated Marv because she thought he was rich. Excuse me, what does that have to do with anything? I don't care what Marv's bank account is, and it's none of her business either. And we should cut people off if they start that. That's just ridiculous. I do want to say that all the people that are saying that they want to keep zoning, for every single thing that they say will lose our protection, for every single one of those protections, we have another form of protection. And you guys know, the ordinance was put into place that marijuana shops couldn't come into the city here, couldn't come into the village. Why? Because you guys made the ordinance, because the state allowed it. So what about the blight ordinance? You guys made the ordinance. We don't need zoning to make our ordinances. We can do that ourselves. Sorry, I got a little.
You're fine. That was good timing, Patty.
Oh, I
Oh, well. You hit me for 3 more minutes at the end if you want to. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
How's that?
That's good.
Luke Borgling, Banks Township, and want to see zoning gone. As has been said many times, I heard it quite a few times on Tuesday, don't need it to protect us. We've already got state to do it. We've got you to pass different ordinances that are needed. I hear a bunch of people saying, we got to keep zoning because we got to be safe. I'm sorry, zoning, I'm watching as it infringes on people's freedoms. And if you surrender your freedoms for safety, what's the old saying? Surrender security for, surrender liberty for security, and you will have neither, and you'll deserve neither. So, just do away with it. Let people do with their property what they want to do with their property. If there's an actual issue, I've heard people mention watersheds. I'm sure that Michigan has an EPA regulation that covers that. We don't need zoning to cover that. I mean, just go down the list. It's not needed. And it costs the Banks Township extra tax dollars because they're already paying tax dollars for the state ones. Why? Because people want to live in a township-wide HOA? I'd avoid those like the plague. So, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it.
How's it going? Mitch Diston. I think everybody, Banks Township, I think everybody knows my position here on zoning. I have been looking into the scientific literature again on gravel mining, the pros, the cons, the neutrals. And so I know we sat down and we talked about it. So if anybody wants to have an honest, objective conversation about this, I'll be here afterwards to talk about it. But essentially on the pro side, it's all about the economic benefit, and I don't think the economic benefit outweighs the potential public health consequences. Yeah, happy to chat with anybody here about that if they'd like to know more. And just last thing too, I've kind of started fighting my fights elsewhere with the data center in Kalkaska. Got to let you know that it's about 90% of the community who doesn't want a data center, and that's a completely different behemoth to anything that we have to worry about here right now. But if we do get rid of zoning, I got to tell you, that's those townships that we're working with who don't have zoning, they're the ones who are open to having these data centers. So I mean, this conversation is much broader and larger, and of course, Michigan is a target for all these stupid data centers because of our cool climate and our most precious natural resource, which is water. So, yeah, happy to talk with anybody after this. I also have pamphlets, more on the science on gravel mining if anybody wants to take one on the way out. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mitch.
Brenda Vander Ark Stevens. Lived my whole life in Banks Township. Banks Township wouldn't have a cemetery if it wasn't for my family. Period. Mr. Rubing, I'm sorry that people are, you say nicer words than me, arses. Anyone who has been around the block a few times knows that gravel pits, you can call it mining, but it's ridiculous. But the whole point is zoning. It has gotten out of control. We should not be telling people they can't stop the water from running in their house and put in a French drain and put a porch back on. It's just gotten way out of hand. We don't need it, as the gentleman said before. We have all kinds of protections, and we don't need that. Those that speak out every meeting like I do, watch your backs, because now they start rumors about you. Like, they say that I claim that Donna Harris stole money. Donna, I'll say it loud so everybody can hear me. We don't agree on things, but you are not a thief. I don't think it, and I would have never said it, and it's bull crap. I never said you did. I didn't say you did. No. I know you did. just saying, you got used like I got
We
used.
got it, Brenda, yep.
But now Anonymous has changed their tune, and it wasn't me, it came from the clerk's office. So people need to get their stories straight when they start talking that crap. Zoning needs to go. The previous board that pushes the freedom or want zoning knows that if it goes to a vote, they will lose. So now they're digging deep and hard. There's also been comments about recusing. And while I don't really know him personally, there's only one person here who would have to recuse himself on voting on zoning, and that would be Mr. Busman, because his family makes a living from it. If there's no zoning, they don't have a living. So he would be the only one I think should be recusing themselves.
Thanks, Brenda. Next.
Laura Edwards, Church Road, Banks Township, speaking for my husband Philip and I. And I did send this to the office, but I'll give you a copy. Dear Banks Township Board, there's a serious issue facing the board in our township. The issue is a conflict of interest within this board. 3 members have vested financial interest in rescinding the current zoning laws that have been in place for many years. At the very least, Mr. Rubin, Ms. Chellis, and Mr. Frisky should recuse themselves from any voting regarding abolishing zoning. They have each publicly stated their interest in pursuing gravel mining operations and repurposing housing for short-term rentals. In the past, members have recused themselves legally when faced with a conflict of interest. For example, Mr. Rasmussen recused himself when voting on the establishment of an illegal motocross track, since he had business dealings with the owner. The question arises as to why the current board has allowed these members to weigh in and vote when they are obviously in conflict of interest. It also seems curious as to the motivation for them in joining this board. Was it to serve the public or simply their own personal agenda? This is a very serious and troubling state of affairs legally for our township. We certainly hope the board will consult with their legal counsel and do the right thing. Sincerely, Lauren Phil Edwards.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Kendra Borgeling from Banks Township, and I just wanted to say a word about freedom. I was wondering what Daniel Boone would think if somebody told him he couldn't build a house where he wanted to, or if someone told him he couldn't put a porch on it. And same with George Washington, how he would have reacted if someone told him that he should not take advantage of things on his property. And on through our history, people who have led our country and fought and died for it, even recently, people who fought in World War II, if someone told them when they come home they couldn't put a garage on their house or whatever they wanted to do. And I would encourage you to think about that when you're voting about zoning. And as far as people with vested interest, I think we all have a vested interest, and if you want people to not vote who have a vested interest, then nobody should vote, because it affects us all, one way or another. If we can do what we want with our property, or if we have to not use the resources we have, or go through 20,000 hoops to do it, or whatever. So I would encourage you to increase freedom in this township instead of withholding it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Travis Shells, Banks. I wasn't going to say anything until Mrs. Edwards decided to bring up my wife's name. The whole that I have a vested interest or whatever, I use myself as an example at a meeting, that if I wanted to do something, it was too complicated. I raise hay and cattle. Here's a clue for people. cattle do not eat gravel. And what people don't understand about gravel pits, you have to have a vein through your property. There has to be actual gravel there. So everyone that thinks that everybody's gonna be mining everywhere or stripping everywhere, you have to have gravel. So no, and maybe I'm sitting here backing up my wife here, but I don't have a vested interest because my hay fields are not gonna turn into a gravel pit. My cattle pasture is not gonna turn into cattle or a gravel pit. There's gonna be cattle and hay there. And Edwards did not have any problem when they took stone and rocks for their business off the Harris property that they didn't get charged for, that they took it, that Mr. Harris, Bob at the time, gave it to them and let them take it. So it was okay when they could take stone for their business off somebody's property to make money. But now when somebody else does, now what's the problem? That's called a hypocrite.
I'm kind of wondering how everybody gets so sick on gravel. Several years ago, well, maybe 20, they started drilling shallow gas wells in Central Lake and Torch Lake Township. At that time, the farmers, myself included, probably these guys, are you coming up into Banks Township? They said no. The shale and the gravel is too close to the surface to hold in the Antrim gas. So the shale and the gas are on the surface in Banks Township. Now my brother worked for Grant Brothers. He made gravel in the Elbow Pit, and if you go down the East Jordan Road, you'll see the Harris Pit. There is Gerald Drent did a boring there, and the gravel went down over 100 feet. If they could have got it out, they spooned all they could out with a crane. So it's about a quarter of a mile across that lake. What do you think is in the bottom of these lakes in Banks Township? And I learned some mighty fine things listening to these people there tonight. I heard Mr. Frisky had shut down the funeral home. Why did you do that? That lady said, and I told her she walked that much farther. You know, she was worried about the stores and stuff, and she actually said, I don't know, she called you by name, and let's have another thing. There's some clown here that acts like he's a doctor or something. I talked to my sister-in-law. She had just retired from the hospital in Traverse City. 30 years ago, she had breast cancer. My wife also had breast cancer. She said at the time, the oncologist said there was a elevated rate in breast cancer clear to the straits on the west side of the state. It's not just Banks Township. And I hear a lot of things. These two people here are some of the hardest working people I've ever saw. From 1967 to 2000, we farmed all the land around the Friskies. And I never seen anybody as driven as his father. And Mr. Rubin has lived a mile from me for the last 120 years. And I hear somebody calling him a millionaire. They don't know dairy farming. There's an old adage. You might die rich, but you're going to live poor. There's another one. If you want to get $1 million farming, start with 2. I know Mr. Rubin is constantly putting it back into his farm. Right now, he's building a silo that's 35 foot wide and 120 foot tall, and God knows how much that thing's going to cost him.
I'm sure it will be.
You know, and all this crap they say about these guys. What's that?
I said you'll have to come back at the end. That was your 3 minutes.
Never mind.
I got the gist. Thanks, Steve. Another Steve.
Yeah, there's Steve Perry from Banks Township. One thing our last meeting, and I'm, grateful that so many people turned out. But one thing I heard loud and clear, even from those that were opposed to zoning, I was all for zoning, 100% for zoning. And through these conversations, I hear a lot of common sense, a lot of things that we need to maybe alter. But one thing I did hear from even those that were opposed to zoning was that they wanted to revamp it afterward. The only thing they don't understand is once you remove it, it's gone. The boards are gone, the people are gone. You don't revamp it, you don't put it back together. So I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say half of those that opposed it felt that it was necessary to change it afterward. Given that, I think the board did their job, the commission did their job and listened to the audience by approving and moving forward with keeping zoning. So I commend them for that. But to this board, I think you need to pay attention to exactly what was said. And I think the message was clear from the public that removing zoning altogether, not necessary, but I think we need to have some large adjustments to make. Our zoning ordinance is 93 pages. Elk Rapids is 264, Forest Homes 178. We are far from being over restrictive in Banks Township, but we do have some room for more common sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Dave?
Dave Rasmussen, Banks Township. I know I'm addressing the board, but as part of my comment, I'd like to ask the audience a question. How many of you have ever applied for a zoning application just by hand? How many have been denied? As Steve said, we do have some differences in our pages of zoning from township to township. Ours is currently 125 pages, Steve. In 1978, when it was adopted, there was 55 pages. How did we get to 125 over 50 years? We've added a ton of definition. Definitions in 55, we had 3 pages. We have 19 pages of definitions now. You guys have sat on enough boards, and you've heard enough legal arguments that definitions, explanations, that's how we got to defend things, right? So add a bunch of definitions. We had 19 zoning ordinances when it was adopted. 19 in 78. We have 30 zoning ordinances right now. 30, not 96. That's 11. We've added 11 ordinances in 50 years. I'm just going to read those so everyone's familiar with what our zoning ordinances are. Number 1, the effects of zoning, which explains it. Nonconformity, principal uses, accessory buildings, essential services, clauses pertaining to utilities, non-commercial wind turbine generators, mobile homes, recreational vehicles, substandard dwelling occupancy during construction of dwelling, animals, green belts, home businesses, fences, walls, water supply, stormwater retention, reserved for future use, blank page, hazardous substances, junkyards, salvage yards, sanitary landfills, accessory management, outdoor lighting, signs, private waterfront access, planned urban development, or unit development, sorry, antenna, existing towers, antenna towers, the medical marijuana, cargo containers, marijuana establishments, short-term rentals, and lastly, our latest one, sand and gravel. That's it. There's room for improvements on these. We've amended several of them. Most recently, the RV amendment. There's ways to move forward and work through this. A lot of people, I think, want to move forward and make it simpler. So, thank you.
Banks Township,
Good evening. Last meeting, we were in this room, it was freaking packed, and there was a lot of emotion, and it was really, really great. So I had somebody go through today the video, people, so we rewatched, or I didn't, somebody rewatched it, counted how many people wanted to eliminate zoning in the township, how many people spoke to keep zoning in the township. The number of people who wanted to remove it was 21. The people who spoke to keep it was 34. Of those 34, 21 were actually taxpayers in Banks Township that actually deserve a voice, and their voice was heard. So 18-3. Your Facebook and the newspaper even are kind of in lockstep with stuff, but so they make this deception that it doesn't really look like anybody's real passionate about getting rid of zoning, because look at these numbers. That's not fair, really. So I think as we go through this, we kind of define who lives in the township, who pays taxes here, and who doesn't. Because that's what matters when it comes down to a vote. And another thing about, I like your videos and you stream this and everything, that's fine. I believe that your Facebook page is very, very evil.
Talk to us.
Yeah, sorry. I believe that because Facebook page is not very nice. It seems that they like to use zoning to weaponize it against their fellow citizens, neighbors, probably in hopes to destroy their families, livelihoods, businesses, because there's a lot of that. Although we do have a Facebook page as well, but we're just common people who we put our names on what we say, and we're probably not very nice either, but we try to be respectful humans, but with the amount of, I hate to say hate, I just feel it in my heart when I read some of these things, and I believe it's very deceptive, and then you start reading these same punchlines in the newspapers, and I've tried to reach the newspapers. I got a letter out to the letter to the editor once. That's the only time I ever really tried, other than trying to contact some of these outlets that are putting out these deceptive numbers about how politics is done in our township. I believe that's about my 3 minutes, but happy Thanksgiving, you all.
It'll go off when you're done.
Okay.
Keep going.
No, I'm pretty much done.
All right.
Thank you all. Yeah, good job.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Lynn Kirby, Banks Township. I speak on behalf of myself and my husband Greg. We are both in favor of maintaining zoning, and that is because we believe that zoning is the means, it's a system of checks and balances. No entity can exist or survive without checks and balances. And if you remove zoning entirely, you get rid of that. All you have to do is drive through Central Lake and look at people who are building their houses so closely together that eaves are going over everybody else. You cannot, in today's world, rely on your neighbor to do the right thing. I know that personally for a fact. Okay? So I'm sorry if people feel I don't need protection. I do. Checks and balances. It's mandatory. And if our zoning is too restrictive, you had a bunch of people that were all in favor of getting rid of it, saying, well, I couldn't build a swimming pool, and I couldn't build this, and I couldn't build that. Well, we don't know the extenuating circumstances behind that. Was it encroaching on somebody's septic or drain field? Zoning is what answered that question. You have to keep it. That's all there is to it. Tweak it. Go ahead, make whatever changes. You hear the voice of the people that are all in favor of removing it. What can we do to find that common ground? We're all adults. We're all intelligent, at least I hope we are. So let's come to an agreement. But to abolish it will be our demise as a township.
Flynn.
Hi, Annie Anderson, Banks Township. First of all, I just want to thank you all on the board here for everything that you do, for putting up with all of us. I do personally love a full building here, so that's very thrilling for me, probably, again, not so much for you guys, but
I love people interacting. Sorry.
I really do love all these voices on all ends. I'm quite amazed at all the different viewpoints that we are getting. I would like to though say that I have not once, correct me if I'm wrong though, I'm all for that. I have not once heard anybody who wants to repeal zoning ever say to change it in that, repeal, but I want to change. What I've heard is that they have lost hope in change. And for that, they want it repealed, or at least let the people decide. So that's something I wanted to clarify, because I really do believe that they've put in a lot of time and effort in educating themselves too on zoning, that if they wanted to change it, then they would want to keep zoning. So there's also been a narrative circulating around that Donna is a villain. And while claiming that those of us who support repeal are trying to make Marv and Richard into heroes, in my opinion, that entire framing is really unfair and completely misses the real issue here. The truth is that everyone in our township has become a victim of this aggressive zoning, and nobody ever labeled Donna as a villain. The only people who have publicly dragged her into the spotlight are those now accusing others of doing exactly that. If anything, this situation deserves context, because Donna isn't the first resident caught in a tangled, inconsistent zoning system. Matt Harris, for example, back in 2018, approached the board and asked for a permit, and Tom told him that it wasn't necessary. So he raced, and then by his second race was told, his neighbor spoke loudly, her voice was heard, and retracted everything for Matt. After appeals and several $1,000s spent, the board refused to allow him to continue operating his track as a business in Egg, and no matter what accommodations he offered. Matt was a great citizen, a taxpayer, and someone whose work brought opportunity to families like mine, and he was pushed out. Now we look at the duplex situation where back in 2022, that was denied, a permit. They went ahead with the project anyway, and now the Planning Commission is considering the ability to allow duplexes across all zones, from my understanding, even though our property is in conservation zoning. So that is even more restrictive than Matt's was. So suddenly the same voices who want to keep the town quaint and rural and preserved are promoting increased rental housing with no plans for jobs or economic growth here. So meanwhile, in this supposedly thriving township, the only person who could offer my son a job was Marv the farmer. And for that, I thank you. So nobody here is a villain, and nobody here is a hero. We are all victims of this aggressive zoning, and I would like to see it go to the vote of the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie.
Hi, Judy Bradke, Banks Township. I'd like to thank you all for being here this evening, and for the people behind me as well. I was at the meeting last week and was really impressed by the number of people that showed up. My only point tonight is this: zoning does not take away people's freedom. Zoning allows our neighbors to know that they're not going to have a house built this close to each other. And I put forward pictures that I have taken in Central Lake last week of people's houses that were this close together. One neighbor could not open their door because the house was able to be built so close. So if we take zoning totally away, I don't want my neighbor's house so close to mine that I can't have the freedom of opening my door. So it works both ways. Let's have some common sense here. Zoning is here for a reason. Some of it may be good, some of it may be bad. If some of it needs to be looked at and adjusted, let's have a common sense approach to this. I want my freedom as well. And people who voted or oppose it, fine. We need to find a common ground. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate all you do. My last comment is, if there is anyone on this board that is should not be voting on zoning, they should step back and not vote on zoning. Thank you.
King from Banks Township. First of all, I want to thank you all for taking these difficult jobs as board members. It's never easy. So on the subject of zoning, I want to state for the record that I am in favor of zoning. And like I said last week, no system is perfect. And the whole idea of having government administrators is to adopt the changes necessary to roll with the times and roll with the changes and make adjustments to the system as we grow and age. There are things from the 70s that are now no longer valid, and so change is a necessary function of our local government. So in that vein, if there were a subcommittee of some sort created to review the zoning ordinances, I'd be willing to participate in such a thing. Again, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Fred Hooksma,
Hold on
Banks
just a second.
Township. Hi.
Hold on.
Okay.
Not that fast.
Good. You better speed up.
All right, go ahead.
You got it?
Yep, go ahead, Fred.
All right. We began our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. It's great. Everybody got up here and talked with their hand over their heart and said it. But you know some of the meanings of them words? Liberty. Liberty, if you Google it, like I did, means freedom. Freedom to go to church where you want, shop where you want, vote for who you want to. You guys all said that. The problem is with this zoning thing, it got jammed down our throat. Nobody got to vote for it. So why not do it? Why not let us vote for it? If it passes, yeah, we'll work on it. If it don't, we'll live with it. You know? But the last meeting, one of our outstanding citizens said, I don't want to live in a township that people can do what they want on their own property. Think about that. I think about that every day, how stupid that was. It's my property, I want to do what I want with it. You know? And then you want to get justice for all. So we got to treat everybody the same. One person gets fined because they do something. The other one is in the clique, so we'll help them out. You know, maybe they did something wrong. Well, let's change the amendment. Let's do something so they won't get in trouble. That's not justice. You want to tick people off? Treat them differently. You want everybody to be happy? Treat everybody fairly. You know, arguing and complaining isn't hard. Living together and getting along is. You guys got to get along. You guys got to start it, not bickering and getting after each other. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
As it seems residents have spoken.
What's that?
As it seems the residents have spoken. Mitchell Treadwell.
Hold on, David, hold on just 1 second. Anybody else from Banks Township wanted to speak?
I'm Bill Austin, Banks Township. As far as zoning's got some good things and got some bad things. But I think zoning is something that the township needs, and we need to work on it. I look around, and most of these people have never been to meetings. As far as any of these meetings, you know, as far as the planning commission or the regular commission. You come in once in a while, but if you participate a lot more, you know a lot more what's happening, you'd be on top of it, and you could also give some direction to us. I was on the planning commission for 17 years. In a lot of those meetings, there were 5 of us, plus recorder, and the consultant. As far as zoning, I think we want to work on it real hard. There's some things that have happened in the last few years that I don't like, but I didn't participate. I came in the last moment and I heard what was happening. Well, it was a little bit late to change something at that time. As far as on this gravel pit situation, I was on the board when Marv started. On the planning commission, we pretty much gave him permission to proceed doing the drilling and the boring and getting the information. At that time, we had a change of the planning commission. We also had a change of the board, and everything changed for where he was at and where he's at today. As far as the gravel pit, I think Banks Township needs a gravel pit. Now we need gravel locally, and that's a logical place to have it. So I don't have a problem with him pursuing it, working on it, and the board needs to work harder to put that together. As far as zoning in the end, I think we're gonna want zoning. I drove down Crawford Road from Pleasant Hill Road, next where I live, and if you go over the hill down the 2-track, and I haven't been down through there for 3-4 years, and I assume that there's not zoning there, but it's a mess. From this, vehicles parked in the 2-track road, there's junk down there, and I'm assuming that a lot of little parcels got sold because there's trailers and little houses and everything being put up like little hunting shacks. And that isn't the way it was 10 years ago. But anyway, consider voting for the zoning, keep it, but let's all work at it real hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Hello, Ken Grozier, Banks Township. About your zoning, it's really not fair. Banks Township can have a cell tower, make money off it, and then put in a zoning ordinance. Nobody else can have it. That's really not fair. Gravel pits, we've had them for over 100 years here. If it was that bad and going to kill people, there should be a dust strip between here and Elk Rapids. I mean, I worked at them, made money there. It was a good thing. They dress them up nice now because they have to. So, as far as zoning goes, they choked us out so bad, nobody wants it anymore. And to get them to find common ground, I don't think you're ever going to get them to do that. So, good luck with your deals.
Thanks, Ken. Anybody else from Banks Township wanna speak? Okay, then I'll go with the non-resident group.
Mitch Treadwell, from Traverse City. I have sat in your shoes, or your seats. I'm a city commissioner for the Traverse City Commission. I'm also a planning commissioner. I sit on our Board of Zoning Appeals. I am, I guess, such a fan of meetings that when my own meeting tonight was canceled, I decided to attend yours. But I am here to speak in defense of zoning. Centuries ago, cities and villages would put up walls to keep out the rampaging barbarians. If you were a small village, it might be just a wooden fence, but if you were rich, you'd build a castle to keep your residents safe and to have some bastion of security and civilization. In the 21st century, zoning serves that same purpose of separating the civilized parts of the world from, frankly, lawlessness. It allows us to, as communities, set the rules that we want for where different land uses will be in a broader community. And I'm not here from Traverse City to tell you how to do things. Traverse City's zoning code is hundreds of pages long. We're looking at changing that and redoing the whole thing. But zoning is a flexible transparent, and public tool. It can be changed, any part of the zoning code, through a process of public meetings in the Planning Commission and the Township Board. And ultimately, it comes down to what is the will of the public and the representatives they elect. You can choose to have a regulation about porches. There isn't one in Banks Township, and frankly, it doesn't seem something that would be necessary. But common sense zoning calls for separation from industrial and residential uses, whether that industrial use is a gravel pit, a data center, a shoe factory, Dura Automotive in Mansalona, formerly in Mansalona. Because those industrial uses create noise, create traffic, dust, disturbance to the surrounding area that can impact the health, welfare, livelihood, and property values. And it's important to us to have sensible zoning codes that separate what goes where. That allows people trying to move into the community or trying to build something to have a framework going in, knowing what they can do with the land. I'd say that is a win for transparency, a win for property owners, and a win for the community.
Thanks, Mitch. Next, if anybody. All right. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Come on, please. All right, then I'm going to close public comment at this time. Thank you for all of your comments. I'm just going to make a quick comment personally. It's been brought up. People have asked me. I want to tell everybody this real quick. This is a packed house on Tuesday night. I watched it. But people, why weren't you there? Well, because I'm not allowed. The attorneys have told me that I should not come to Planning Commission, ZBA meetings because it can look like I'm trying to influence the people that I appoint to those boards. And so I just want you guys all to know that I do care. It's not that I just don't, just hanging out on a Tuesday night. Trust me, my mind has been on this for months. And I would argue I've spent as much time thinking about this issue as anybody else, and where it's at in this community. But anyway, that's why I wasn't there. So I just wanted to tell people that MTA also advises against it. So, all right, on to the minutes. We'll do the special meeting from Monday, November 3rd first. It's pretty short and sweet. Marv moves. I'll support. Any discussion on these minutes? All right, all in favor say aye. Opposed the same. Motion carries on that one. All right, let me get into the minutes from our last meeting. We need to strike in number 5 the editorial question that we had in there. Do we need to include the amendments in these minutes? So strike those would be my amendment. I think that was it. That's all I saw of it. Anybody else have any items to discuss on those minutes? Yep.
No, I move that we accept them as presented with that one
All right.
strike on item 5.
All right, I'll support that motion. All right, all in favor say aye. Oppose the same. Like I said, I didn't ask for discussion. Anybody want any discussion on that? Sorry. Okay. County Commissioner report.
Good evening, everyone. Our Parks Director, Lindsay Eccles, has been going around to a lot of township meetings and passing a brochure out to take our park survey. I would really encourage all our Banks Township residents to do it. Recently, we've had preliminary positive test for hemlock woolly adelgid at the Antrim Creek Natural Area. So that's one of our huge parks in Antrim County. It's 160 acres in size. Working with the Conservation District on possible treatment for some of those hemlock trees. So more information to come on that. For our Antrim County Sheriff's Department report, for this, for my district, Banks Township, Central Lake Township, Torch Lake Township, month of October, each township had 10 car deer accidents. So just in my district alone, there was one every day on an average. In 2023 in Antrim County, there were 588 car deer accidents. And in 2024, there were 570, so pretty similar, hardly any change, but over 500 in Antrim County. The county commissioners received the Antrim County Building Department report. In 2025, we sold 42 more permits through October than we did in 2024. And I would just note that my first 3 years being a commissioner, it was like we would sell 100 or more in those years from 2021, 2022, 2023. So it's still an increase, but the dramatic pace of building has definitely slowed in Antrim County. And you can also see it in our soil erosion department revenue report. Those number of permits, we have sold 31 less this year than what we did last year through October. I'm sure we all are aware of the vote that took place beginning of this month on the new public safety center. Banks Township, it failed by 65%. And in my district, I found it kind of interesting that the vote last year, it was rejected 55-45, and this election, it was 55-45. It was exactly the same. On a
65 votes or 65%?
55 to 45%. The number of votes was way less. It was almost half as many votes as, which is kind of typical in a special election. I think that's all I've got. I did leave some of these Park and Rec surveys on the back table if anyone would like to see or take them. You can do them on your on your smartphone, or you can go to the county website and go onto the Parks Department.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
Jerry here tonight? I haven't seen him. All right. Sheriff's report. I haven't seen George in here either. We have that if anybody's interested. It's in our packet, but if you're interested to Jairus' point, we got medical calls and car deer accidents. That's what goes on in this township, apparently. All right, treasurer's report.
Okay, I sent the reports to you. I don't know if you got them.
You want this?
They bounced back to me.
Okay.
And I sent them again. Anyway, anything interesting in the bills this month that we should be aware of, call attention to?
We paid the road. We paid the road commission $38,000.
That closed out.
Totally. And
Both?
Yep.
Okay.
6 Mile Road.
Okay.
That's the biggest.
And tax money will start coming in next month. So, but that's gonna basically wipe out our road fund.
Yeah, that won't be
We'll do that.
So what you're saying, Julie and Katie, is that recent disbursement to the road commission isn't reflected yet in the numbers we just saw?
Correct. Correct, yep.
Okay.
These numbers are up to date as soon as we approve the bills. The minute we approve the bills, they're up to date.
Question on the check register for Beckett and Rader. We have 1021 drove to a meeting for $195, and farther down, 1021 drove to a meeting for $48.
Yeah.
It was the same meeting?
Yep.
How do we get billed twice for the same meeting?
So I asked him, and I emailed and asked, and in the meantime, they told me that it was right. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense, because the meeting prior was 68 or 62. didn't write the thing on, I think it was 62. And they said, nope, that's correct. It was for there and back. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense because if you times 48 by 2, that's 96. So I need to know, did he stop somewhere? Why this doesn't, and so then she said, I'll talk to him, and by the time she got back, he was today, and I printed the check, and yes, she was wrong. We were billed twice, so there'll be a credit on our next statement.
Okay, what am I looking at here? Because it's not a check, it's a ACH for the credit card?
Yes, and I wrote a check, and I haven't paid it.
Oh, gotcha, okay, so that will still be in the
Yes.
register, okay.
So that's what that is.
Gotcha.
So that's why it's here.
Sure, okay.
Any other questions? All right, and move we pay the bills as presented. Julie supports. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. All right. Zoning administrator report.
I really have nothing to report. We've got a lot going on here. I'll speak loud so I don't have to get to that. And I know my voice carries. Just a couple of permits continue to come in, building, that sort of thing, land division questions. So pretty normal stuff, other than what's happened here in the past, and I'm here to answer any of those questions you might have. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to add. So if you got something for me, please ask. That's why I'm here. If not, that's my report.
A month or two ago, I don't remember exactly when, you had some violations that you were working on. I'm wondering if there's any updates on them.
I addressed 3 different violations in regards to the multiple housing or the, let's say, something other than single-family dwellings. I've addressed all 3, and at this point, I'm satisfied with where we stand. As the zoning administrator, I've made that call until we see what else happens at your board level. But currently, all 3 of those situations are satisfactory with the changes that were made, and I'm not going to get into details. So I have addressed all 3 of those. Also, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Let me clear up just one little thing. I don't know who in the heck came up with the idea that you need a permit to put in a swimming pool. Okay, there's nothing in their zoning ordinance about that. So if you're going to make accusations, just be accurate. Okay, that's all I ask.
Anything else? Okay. Planning Commission report.
Okay, I'm going to try to be brief too, because I'm quite certain that all of you are well aware of everything that I would say anyway. At our meeting last week, we had the public hearing, of course, on the zoning repeal. There was extensive public comment, and at the end, we had a 3-2 vote not to repeal the zoning ordinance. That would be the recommendation of the planning commission. That is, as Alex already alluded to, that's going to the county planning commission now, and then we'll come back to this board, maybe hopefully by our December meeting. Then we also had a public hearing on a special use permit for a self-storage facility at the old Klooster property at the corner of Byers and US 31. There were a couple of concerns from neighboring property owners that were voiced, and that was approved by the planning commission. The special use permit was approved with a few conditions that have to be worked on yet. And we also then did complete the review of the master plan and send it to the Entry County Planning Commission and also to this township board. So the planning commission's work on the master plan is complete, so that should be back to us pretty soon. Again, I think after the county planning commission, we should see that in December. The rest of our agenda, there were a few more items. We pushed those off to the December meeting because it was
I talked to Mark today about the fire department. There's not much to report. Pretty much business as usual for them. Yeah, just later on, they did request some radios, so we're gonna talk about that down the way a little bit. Tina, you got anything for the DDA?
We just had our goal setting planning meeting. Oh, I left my notes downstairs, I'm sorry. We went over, first we reviewed our goals for last year, all of which we have made progress with. We don't have a lot of money, you know, so we can't do everything we want to do right away, but we have some pretty exciting stuff, the potential of bringing in some food trucks maybe. We're going to be talking to the Volmers about maybe just renting that lot and doing a little something like that. Anyway, there's a few things. There's somebody interested in maybe potentially starting a business in town. We'll just have to see how that goes. Again, everything, a lot of irons in the fire that it's going to take some time, you know, let the money come in. I will say that we've got the Christmas in the Village coming up. That's December 6th. It goes from noon until 4. All kinds of free activities. I think the only thing there that could cost you money is there will be some crafting tables, some people selling their crafts. Other than that, we're having a soup cook-off. Come eat dinner. Free hot chocolate, free family photos. There's going to be a movie for the kids. There's going to be craft for the kids to do. We're going to do the tree lighting at 3:45. There's going to be, if you've got a great pot of soup and you want to make soup, please let me know. We'll get you all signed up. We'll get first, second, and third place prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Bring the kids. So that's the last thing.
Thanks, Tina. All right. Excuse me. Ambulance Authority. We had a meeting last week, and things are very tight, like I've said for a while. The good news is they're later now than they were last year. We've tightened the belt as tight as we can get it over there. At the end of the day, this township brings in a large portion of the operating and equipment budget over there. Eveline is a contract member. We are a charter member, so we're one of the townships that started it. And we're I think the highest tax base of the whole outfit. And so, while we bring in a pretty good chunk that can actually operate the authority, there's some other townships that don't bring in near as much income, and anybody that looks at the 4029s or anything that shows the tax bases throughout this county can see that some of them do not have near the tax base that we do. So it's really tight. At the end of the day, that's the story. I've got in here to ask to push back our repayment until after the millage comes in into January. And we're doing everything we can to find a way to make it work. But right now it's very tight, and we started talking about whether or not we're going to have to raise or ask for an increased millage to keep that thing going. What that number is, we don't know yet. But I know the rumor mill's flying around right now. I've been texted about it already. So it happened Wednesday night that we even talked about it, broached the subject. So just be aware that if the question comes before you that we need more funds for operating the authority, that the belt's been tightened as much as we can get it, and at the end of the day, people cost money. And if you want an ambulance authority, if you want an ambulance service, you have to pay people to ride those trucks, and they don't get paid enough, and we just don't have enough to even consider wage increases for them. So that's I guess the bad news. They've got a potential, they're working on a training class for basic EMTs, if everybody's interested in working on that. I've also been talking with the director, Joel, about the possibility of getting a substation out in Atwood, which I think would be a huge benefit to the Lake Shore, and all of us in this township. I mean, you're 5 minutes from Atwood instead of, 8 from East Jordan or whatever. If you're in town, we have an aging guy who's our only EMT in town. God love Larry, man. That is a servant that doesn't come around very often, and but he's getting older, and he will not be able to be an EMT forever. And so, if we could figure out a way to, get a substation out here and actually put some full-time people out in Atwood or Ellsworth, if that's the way we want to go, but it kind of makes sense out in Atwood, in my view. I know I live there, so everybody's going to tell me I've got a conflict of interest on that one, but here you sit. I guess I bought in the wrong spot, a mile from the fire hall. Anyway, we're going to move on to that later, but
You said Banks Township was a major contributor.
absolutely.
What is the opposite side, the demand? Is Banks Township a major demand then as well, or?
I cannot give you that tonight, Mark. I will gladly get that information for you. I think it's pretty even as far as how many runs they make to the different townships, but I'll get you concrete numbers. I've been asking that question too. So we got a brand new billing software that was paid for by Eveline Township. I think I got my facts right on that one, but Eveline Township paid $31-some thousand to buy a brand new billing software that will also tie into the operations of the authority, so we can get more data and answer those questions better, and also recover more funds from those who need the service. So we were able to do that without dipping into any more of the fund. So that was a good thing.
I've heard through the grapevine, I haven't checked anything out yet, but I heard that Torch Lake has an ambulance, and they're looking or willing to take on more territory. I don't know if we've ever considered that or if we should, but it seems like with the issues before us, maybe we should be talking to both of them.
Yeah, I think that's an option. I know Jared's giving me Mike's name down in Torch Lake, and yeah, I'll chat with them and see what they want to do, because I've heard also that they might want to get out of it. So I don't really know. But I'll talk to them and see.
Since you said maybe a station in Atwood, that might solve it if we split the budget.
Yeah. So that could be a good option. We'll have to see where this all goes, but we are still working at it. But that is a good point, Mark. What else? I said the EMT thing. If anybody's interested, and that's it. So, any other questions about the authority? All right, then I will move on to correspondence. Anything good, Julie? Huh? Well, other than all the emails that we got and letters from people? Okay. Okay. Nothing other than that. All right, good deal.
And those are gonna be attached to the minutes. I've had someone else ask me. They will be attached.
All right, is there anything, moving on to old business then. The property review. Do we have anything with parks and cemeteries that we want to discuss?
No.
Okie dokie. The tree removal behind the fire hall. I got with Jerry and looked at that a couple weeks ago. Went down there and looked, and there's some box elders that are filling in the creek, and they're a mess. And so the village has asked us to split a bill to get rid of them. They seem to be inhibiting the flow of water from the parking area. Anyway, I believe we have a bid from Dylan on that, Julie, don't we? Oh, well, I apologize. I didn't do my duty. I thought he gave us one a couple months ago.
2 months ago, we had the.
3,500 or?
Yeah, from Dylan,
too.
Yeah, Jerry brought bids for that. I didn't.
All right. Well, I dropped the ball. I apologize. I'll have those bids for next month for us to talk about it and make a call. I'm pretty sure it's $4,000, but I don't want to speak out of school here. All right, Katie, have you had any luck with the soil sampling issue?
I gave our information to Otwell, and there's Otwell Mobby, and I haven't heard back from them
Okay.
to get any more quotes or anything.
Okay. All right, the winterization of the Banks Township Historical Society, I talked to Dave Harris, and he's still willing to winterize it, if that's okay with us. So I'd make a motion that we have him winter it.
My only request is that if things need to be fixed, can you submit receipts with your bill, please?
Right now it needs a new furnace.
She told me, so she also talked about putting a heater in there over the winter.
A mini split would be in order.
Okay, just as long as that's safe, cause she talked about.
Oh, the mini splits are like what I have in my
Well,
house.
no, Jeannie talked about putting some kind of space heater.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, in there, and she was talking about it, and you're gonna put a space heater in a building and then lock it up for the winter, it seems. Just, and if you make any, she made it sound like the repairs for the furnace would come next year. I don't know if that's something now or then, but just any receipts you have from repairs, if you could also turn those in.
They really don't use the place in the winter anyway.
Right.
And a mini split for a heat pump would be air conditioning and that heat in the fall and spring.
Okay.
What's in there now is a big old oil burner. And it isn't working.
Will it last through the winter?
If you don't use it.
Yeah. If you winterize it, don't need it.
If you winterize it tomorrow, you don't need a furnace for the winter.
Right. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, we'll touch base on the heat issue over there and see what might make sense. All right, so we got a motion, Katie supported. And any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, thanks, Dave. The town hall front door, you guys weren't here early enough to see the way we got it locked. Thanks, Dave, for finding a way. That's the Ellsworth motto, right?
Yeah.
We get things done. The left door doesn't lock. There's something wrong with the mechanics on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been locked wrong multiple times and it's stripped out.
Okay.
A little backstory on those doors, when we did the renovation, because of the commercial building, they have to swing out. So they don't make a good outswing door that seals, ever. Those were very expensive doors to keep with the period of the building, and we have to have the push bars. So the push bars, the only push bars that work on those doors are that style. So they've lasted 15 years of them getting locked or unlocked wrong. So I talked to Julie the other day about seeing if we can get just the mechanism, maybe not the whole apparatus, just the lock.
Right.
And I was hoping to have an answer for you guys, but I didn't get a call back, so.
Okay.
The doors themselves don't need replaced.
Right, it's just the mechanism, right?
Nothing we could put on there is gonna be any different, so, but fixing that door, obviously, I think, if we get the parts, well, it's not a difficult fix.
What was the last part?
I said, if we can get the parts, I don't think it'd be a difficult fix.
Okay.
And then I kind of mentioned it to Jerry that maybe they, depending on the usage of the hall, if they're coming up to unlock the hall, they do the locking and unlocking like they do, or whoever's, just to kind of take that out of the hands of the unknowing.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out. I mean, I would assume a layperson walking in here doesn't know how to unlock those doors. So, okay. All right, well, let us know what you get for a quote back on that. Until then, you'll know why there's a ratchet strap holding the door shut.
It's secure.
So, it's secured. Okay. All right, so then we had the hall decoration. I made the mistake of not having this on the agenda last month, so.
Yes.
A funny story about that.
Did you get a quote for also from Gary Martin?
So,
That's who did it last year.
St. Michael's School was doing a fundraiser from Gary Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Alex, because the sale was done before our meeting, can I get a price on a wreath? And if it's less than last year, can I get it? And he says yes. It's sitting at my house. It's 72 inches and it cost $142. So it's without lights. So we could get a hold of him and see if he would change that, because I don't think he realized it was for here when I did it.
Yeah, because I think that's why we went with him, because he does the installation and everything, because it's quite a job.
Yeah, it's a big wreath. So, yeah. It's really pretty. So if you want, I can, or you can reach out.
Yeah, you reach out to him and let him know that you
Okay.
already have a wreath, and if he can install it and lights.
What would be that?
Does that sound legit? We basically.
I'm good with that. I mean, we've been doing it for years and
Yeah,
I'd like to
It's still
continue
less
it.
than that with the bigger.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
I figured if the board didn't want it, I'll put it in my barn. I'll buy it from the township, so there you go, whatever.
All right, do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we buy we have the wreath and have it, add Mr. Marvin install it. Dylan did say he wouldn't do it, but I'd rather, I mean, if Marvin will do it, then let's do that. Or Gary, I'm sorry, yeah, if he knows, he's done it before and done a good job, I think, right, Donna?
Do you want to reach out to him? Because I don't have.
So are you guys you want lights on it too? Is that what,
Yeah,
we
we
had
had
lights
lights
last
on
time?
it,
Okay.
Yeah.
And, because I did reach out to him.
So where did it come from?
Him.
It came from him via St. Michael's, you
St.
said?
Michael's. It was a fundraiser.
Okay. Okay.
Shelby Coker got it for me.
Oh, I know Shelby. Okay. All right.
That explains why it was cheaper than last year. Right?
There's no lights though.
Yeah, that's why that explains why it was cheaper. I was like,
Yes.
oh, it's cheaper. Great. That's a win. All right, so I move that we have that done by Mr. Marvin, and it's gonna probably be under, what, it was 165 or something last year?
Yeah,
So it'll be under 200, not to exceed $200?
Yeah.
That work? Okay.
Yep.
Anybody want to support it?
Support.
Richard supports. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Cool. All right. Snow plowing bids, did Dylan send it to you?
He did.
The what? Yeah, so he's got $55 a run here, for the town hall, 35 for the Ellsworth Fire Department, 40 for the Atwood Fire Department.
Move to approve.
Marv.
Support.
Richard, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, motion carries, good deal. Township website, you wanna talk about that, or you want me to? Okay. The township website is, it's available. It's we're still finishing up some touches before it really goes live to the, I mean, you look hard enough to find it, but it needs a little work yet. And meanwhile, we're also, just trying to juggle everything, getting onto both websites at the same time and making sure everything's square. So right now, bankstownship.net is still our domain, but we're getting real close. So, anything else? Did I miss anything?
We're gonna need more pictures. So Tom Mann provided the majority of the pictures that are on the website, but I needed some updated pictures of the fire department or like the village park and the stuff there. It's just very dated and it's hard to run around and get all these pictures. So if anyone has pictures they would like on the website, send them in and we'll put them on there. Yeah, and even events going on, because we did for the pig roast and the Memorial Day events, trying to find different things. We've got some from Paddle Antrim.
Yeah.
I got a hold of Paddle
I'll
Antrim.
go through mine and send you.
Yeah. Paddle Antrim gave me their other flash drive of events from that, so we picked some really cool ones. But
I'm welcome to any pictures, and I told Tom we would put a copyright on his, so if someone wants it on there that it's not for public use, I can do that. When it's done, I'll let everyone know the website address.
Can I ask on the, with the redo of the website, how close are you to, or are you still pursuing credit cards?
Yes.
And how close are you to doing that? And that's a concern to me, because people ask me all the time. Do you take credit cards for the permit fees?
I'll
So
let
are
you know
we
next meeting.
thinking next year yet, or?
Hopefully by December. The only thing I don't wanna do is some people will call me and try
I'm
to
not
pay
pushing you to mess
taxes.
it up, I'm just.
No, I
wondering
know.
where you're at.
Ask me in December.
Right?
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. All right, the repeal of zoning status update, I think we've pretty much hit this on the head already, enough. But Nicole, you got anything you wanna add here that maybe we've missed? We're waiting on the county.
We're waiting on the county planning commission, they should meet December 2nd. So hopefully we'll have some comments back from them, by then, and then I think, Patty and Julie got everything over to them, and we're waiting on comments, and then you guys know the planning commission recommendation was not to adopt, those repeals, so to keep zoning basically, and that's where we're at, so, not really anything else.
I had a couple questions.
Yeah.
How will the alone PPO ordinances work? Will any of them go away if the ordinance falls with the marijuana one? Will the fireworks ordinance, anything?
No, all police power ordinances are standalone, they're not tied to the zoning ordinance whatsoever. Unless there is tie bar language in them, which I don't think there is in any of your, police power ordinances. If the repeal of zoning does go through and is taken into effect, there is a draft, I think on your website, a draft ordinance to dissolve the planning commission, because you won't need a planning commission if you don't have zoning. That is tied bar to the zoning repeal. That's a police power ordinance, but that is the only one that's tied bar to that. But your blight, your marijuana, things like that that you have, police power wise, those are standing still, those are still in effect, those aren't affected by the repeal of zoning.
And the other question I have, and maybe it's a little bit early, so if zoning is repealed, and we go through the process, and we do the publication, and we have residents have to file the intent to petition and want to start the paperwork, do the township's attorney give any direction to say to the people that are petitioning or circulating, or none?
Generally, no. It would be a wise decision for people who want to do the petition to consult an attorney, because they have to make sure that the petition is, in compliance with all of the election laws. But my job is not to help them, my job is to help the township and do that. So that's basically the only advice I can give anybody who wants to do a petition, is to look at the election laws to make sure your petition is in compliance with that. That's all I can tell you.
One that came up from the public comment about the marijuana PPO. That, generally speaking, I think we've talked about this at least at the last meeting, I think, but PPOs can't be used for land use issues, right? I mean, by and large.
You have to be very careful doing that. So with marijuana, you can opt in or opt out of issuing the licenses, and that would, I believe you guys have opted out of issuing licenses, so you've prohibited marijuana establishments licenses in the township, which effectively prohibits that type of use. And that would be a police power ordinance, but you can't tell someone with a police power ordinance that they can have a shed, 5 feet from the property line. Okay, so that's a police power ordinance, that's really a zoning ordinance, and without the zoning formalities, and that's a big no-no.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So, but there are like marijuana, if you guys that's a big issue. You do
But that's a very specific, special, item that was delegated by the state that says you can do this via PPO.
Correct.
Basically, any other land use restriction has to be done via zoning, if I understand correctly.
Yes,
I
basically.
mean, there might be some.
There's a lot of
caveat
case
there.
law stating that if it's, you have to have the zoning formalities, which is the public hearing, the enactment and all that stuff, so you can get the, because it's people's property rights, basically. And with the police power ordinance, you don't have those formalities, so that's why we wanna be careful about making sure that our police power ordinances aren't taking away people's property rights, basically.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Nicole?
Alex, did you intend to share their opinion, the legal opinion about this conflict of interest?
Yes, thank you very much.
It seems like
I appreciate you bringing that up. I would have gotten to the end and forgotten all about that. So thank you very much. Yes, I am going to make a motion. You guys, I think, all have this memorandum from the attorneys, specifically from Catherine, discussing the concerns of conflict of interest with regard to the ordinance on a full repeal of zoning in the township. I'm gonna make a motion that we make this public to everybody, and we can put it on the website and everything else, and for everybody's. So, Julie supports me in that regard?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion on that?
I'd like to hear it. Or you would read it?
Well, you want it public? Because if I read it, it's public.
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, then.
Because it was addressed a couple times tonight.
I agree,
So
yep,
it'd be
and
great.
that's why I asked for this. I know this is a big concern for a lot of people. We've seen that in letters and discussion, so. I am, yeah. Any,
This is part of the discussion.
well, no, let's vote first.
Okay.
All in favor of making this public?
Aye.
Okay, opposed the same? Good. All right, I would be yea, I also would. All right, I'm gonna read this memorandum from the attorneys, to Supervisor Alex Bushman, from Catherine Kaufman, the Township Attorney, regarding the possible repeal of zoning ordinance, Township Board Member Conflict of Interest, dated, today, November 24th, 2025. You have asked our office to address whether it constitutes a conflict of interest for a member of the Township Board to deliberate and vote on an ordinance to repeal all zoning in the township, when the board member may benefit from the repeal by being able to more easily develop a large and financially beneficial gravel mine. Under Michigan law, a conflict of interest generally arises when a public official's personal financial interests are directly at odds with their public duties, creating a situation where their ability to act impartially is compromised. However, it is important to note that the mere fact that a board member may benefit from a zoning ordinance amendment does not automatically disqualify the board member from participating in deliberations or voting on the matter. Michigan law recognizes that township board members are all, by definition, residents of the township and also very likely to own property within the township. If a board member were disqualified on this basis, the board could never adopt any ordinance which had township-wide effect, as it would always have some kind of an impact on a board member personally. If such were the rule, the board would not be able to adopt any ordinance that has township-wide application, as every board member would be potentially affected. And there is a footnote here, a township board member's review and approval of a township-wide zoning ordinance or repeal of the same can be distinguished from the approval of a rezoning request or a special land use request, because the first is of a general nature that applies township-wide, while the latter involves a specific property or properties. In such cases, a township board member may clearly have a conflict of interest based on the board member's personal, financial, or other property interests, which would disqualify that board member from participating in such a decision. So that was the footnote for every board member would be affected. Such a result would be entirely unworkable and is not legally required. In this case, a board member's participation in the deliberation and vote on the ordinance to repeal zoning does not constitute a conflict of interest simply because that board member owns property and may more easily be able to construct a project which will result in financial benefit to the board member. All members of the board will be in some way impacted by a repeal of the zoning ordinance. This fact alone does not and cannot result in disqualification. Furthermore, as you know, a single board member cannot repeal the zoning ordinance alone. We have previously provided correspondence detailing the process to repeal a zoning ordinance, which requires a recommendation by the Planning Commission and a majority vote of the Township Board. Additionally, any zoning ordinance amendment, including repeal, may also be subject to a referendum vote of the electors. A single board member cannot be solely responsible for the repeal of the zoning ordinance. Please advise if you would like to discuss this further or need for further clarification. So I hope that that clears that up a little bit. I'm going to be very...
I just have like that a board member could decide to recuse themselves if they chose.
If they wanted to, yep, we could. Yep.
They're not obligated to, but they could.
That's correct. All right. Anything else with that issue? All right. We're going to move on. The 2026 road projects. Richard, I have asked Bert for Dr. Road and Skinner, right? Those are, he's working on. They're obviously not moving forward. But you're right. We need to get this figured out. He has bid Dr. Road before, so that won't be hard. It's just figuring out Skinner Road in the corner up there at the top of the hill. But he did mention that Central Lake is going to resurface Farrell Road up to the township line. And so he asked if we were interested in doing that. I said, well, send me the quote. I don't know that Farrell needs it. I haven't driven that in a while, so. Steve probably knows.
Chip, or are they laying asphalt?
It sounded like they were gonna actually resurface it.
Chip actually, right?
Did it?
It's
Okay.
ready to be done again, but before it gets further.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll get the quote, see what they're doing.
Maybe another one we should put on for a price. I just noticed driving in from the store today, everything from about...
It's on the township line?
Yeah,
Yes.
township line into, I don't know if it's the village line, but right about my Dollar General there is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's a big,
Okay.
important road, we should get a price on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I'll do it up front, the culvert's gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be, I think we talked about it before, it was at $350. It was kind of an initial guess as to what it might cost to fix that culvert. It's been glued together, bubble gum and duct tape. Not literally, but it is holding for now. But it is a serious concern, that culvert that goes under there. And if that, I agree with you. I think that needs to get worked on. Whether or not we can find the funds for it's going to be an interesting question. Because when and if that culvert goes, that's going to be a huge transportation nightmare from anything from here to the East Shore. So, but I will ask Bert to give me a quote on that.
What about Essex?
Have you talked about Essex Road and their additional funds?
I've talked to Kevin Geyer about it. I haven't talked to Bert personally about it. Kevin seemed on board with doing that, with using the funds on Essex Road. Pete hasn't called me back, unfortunately. I haven't beat down his door either, but I did call him and he didn't call me back. So I don't have an answer on Essex.
I sent an email to all of them right away, and I forgot which one answered and said that was not a done deal yet. Getting that extra money from the state.
Okay. I know that some of that's still up in the air, because it sounded to me like some of that funding was supposed to come from that marijuana tax, right? That is up in the air as to whether or not it's constitutional, and they're figuring that piece out.
John Ross said it was a done deal.
Well, we'll see if it shows up in the piggy bank, but yeah, I had asked, and Kevin Geyer was on board with doing that. He said, yeah, definitely. Yes. So, C-48 from Ellsworth to the county line, it's working on the Farrell thing as a possibility. And then we talked about Doctor and Skinner. Anything else for roads? Essex, of course.
Essex, just Essex,
Feel
always
free to call the
Essex.
road commissioners and, or email them, whatever your method of communication is. It'd be great to get that money actually on Essex like was intended. Okay, cemetery plot prices. I put this off last month, or it was my idea anyway. I guess we all did it, but it was my idea. So I take the blame for it. There's two things here, right? Whether or not people can buy them as non-residents, or how much do we charge them? I don't think anybody's proposing that we get rid of the ability to buy them as non-residents. Maybe I'm misremembering, but
Well, I think the other point would be whether they're transferable.
yes, I think that's a good question. And Nicole has a fair amount of experience apparently in cemetery ordinances, so I'm glad she's here to talk about this. She mentioned a few things on the phone when I talked to her today about it.
So under your, which I'm reading on the phone right now, is your current cemetery ordinance. Township board can from time to time by resolution determine the sale price for burial spaces by resident property owners and non-resident property owners. You can have two prices for that. You can do that by resolution. So if you want to raise the prices, lower them, you can do that by resolution under your ordinance right now. The transferability, that's not a word, I'm sorry. So it's limited for transfers. I'm trying to find it right now. Your ordinance says, except as provided herein, ownership of burial spaces is non-transferable, but may be sold back to the township at the paid price. So if I bought a plot for $10 and I don't need it anymore, I can sell it back to you guys, the township, for $10. However, if the owner of the burial space submits a written notarized request to the cemetery section requesting that the burial spaces be transferred to a named family member, then those burial spaces shall be transferred as requested. So if I, do the proper paperwork, you give it to the section and say, hey, I don't need it, but my dad died, can he be buried there? And I want to transfer it to him, then, that's okay. Or I don't need it, my dad does, for some reason, he can be the owner of it. So, and that's pretty standard, for transferring things. And then you do have the distinction between resident/property owners. Resident/property owners basically get it at a lower price than non-resident, non-property owners. So you do have that distinction in your ordinance as well.
Right now, we're $25 for residents or property owners or taxpayers, and $300 for non. I would just like to raise it from 25. So I didn't even care if we didn't touch the one that was for 300. But it was $20 in the 70s, and it's 25 now. And the cheapest around us is $250. So even if we raise it to 100, that $25 is not helping us recover the cost of anything. And if we have, there's a grave right now that is tipped over in the Ellsworth Cemetery. It's an older headstone, and Mortensons have to pick it back up. It has to be leveled. Since it's older, the grave itself is sinking, so they gotta bring it in, they gotta level it. And he said he would do it for, less than $200, then we have to pay him. And I can't have someone else do it, Mortensons have to do it. So if we could up the price a little and help offset that.
You guys can do that by resolution. If you'd like us to draft a resolution for you guys, or if you already have it, then you guys can do that. Set the price, write the price in, whatever you guys want to do, you can do that under your ordinance.
Somebody very drafted on there. Looks pretty good.
Okay, so what do you wanna do?
$100.
$100?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's still low. I don't feel like $100 though is.
And when is that gonna go into effect?
30 days.
You want a lot of people on.
I know, I have some.
And that's
sister-
fine, that's
yeah.
good, that's fine.
It says on here, it's 30 days from when we do this, that takes effect.
I'll support. Okay, so you say $100 for residents?
Yep, and then it's I'm fine with the 300 for non-residents if you guys are.
You mean residents, you mean property owners?
Yep.
Both,
Yep,
residents
and
and taxpayers,
Yep.
yes.
That's what I wrote on here, I made sure I changed it, and it says for township residents and taxpayers.
Yeah, and property owners, yeah, so if someone that rents, they can get the
Yes.
same price as someone who owns hunting
Yes.
ground or whatever, yeah.
Okay, and leave the non-resident at 300?
I'm fine with that. Anyone else?
You're gonna get complaints, so, okay, there's that part, and, okay, and then how many, do we wanna limit the number of graves per family unless otherwise approved by the township or the council?
That's something else, so.
You can't do that through the resolution?
You don't have to.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on the resolution.
It is, it's in this
Okay,
thing,
that's fine.
so,
Sorry, we just had it separated on your.
I know,
We can take it off.
we gotta work on our communication here.
Well, if we can leave it, maybe we should do that.
Your ordinance does say that, current ordinance says that the township board shall have the authority to place a limit on the number of burial spaces to 8 spaces sold to an individual household. So if you wanted to limit it to more than that, we'll have to amend the ordinance. So if you want to.
Oh, yeah, sure, because the ordinance has to be changed. It's not, doesn't say we can change it by resolution.
Right.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's actually in the ordinance, so if you wanna, limit 10
But-
to 16, whatever you guys wanna do, you have to amend the ordinance.
Does it say like this resolution, unless otherwise approved by the township or the sexton?
Not for the limit of numbers.
No, but it also, it just says we may take that authority, right?
You
It
have-
doesn't mean.
Shall have the authority to.
We have the authority to limit it, but I don't believe we ever have done that. Katie, do you recall?
Yeah.
We had a resolution to do that,
A resolution to do it, or we did it, limited?
to limit it. Well, I
Yeah, we
think that'd be
limited
the
it.
only way we'd limit it.
Yeah, we've limited it to 8.
We have, okay,
Oh, yeah.
I don't recall it, so.
Yeah.
You've
Sorry.
limited people from buying more than 8?
Households,
Yeah.
With individual household, yes.
individual households.
Yeah.
When did you guys start that?
In the new ordinance.
Probably when this
But not
ordinance
prior.
came, yeah, probably when this ordinance came into, was
Because as we've been.
23.
Okay.
Yeah, it was only 2 years ago.
Okay,
right?
yeah, because
Yeah.
as we've been putting stuff in between Antrim City and Atwood, there's quite a few where people bought between,
10 and 20.
Yes.
Yes.
yes, quite a few.
Yeah, so it's been 2 years.
Okay, so then how would we take that authority? How would we modify that authority?
Do you want to up the number, or do you wanna lower the number?
I just wanna make sure we have something, so that she has something to go off of.
Most people do not buy more than 8. The issue at hand is one person wants 9 because he has 7 children.
Right.
And those 2, so I let him do it because he wanted it in place.
So that section further says that appeals to the section of the ordinance may be made to the township board, which will have the authority to override the limitation based upon circumstances presented by the household. So if you limit it to 8, so you as a cemetery sexton, or cemetery sexton, whoever's selling the graves says, no, I'm sorry, I can only sell you 8 right now, but if you want 10 because you have 8 children, then you can go to the township board and they can vote to give you 10, basically.
I guess I want to remove that stuff. Because I am the section, if I feel like that, they're making a case because if they have 8 children and they want to do this and they want to have this in place, if it's not someone coming in and saying, okay, I want to buy one for my spouse and I have 5 kids, so I want to buy 10 extra for my kids and their spouses, I would say no, right? But for the person who comes in and says it's really important for my family to stay together, I would like that 1 extra grave.
You're
Then
gonna
we
get
have to
accused of
amend-
favoritism.
We have to amend the ordinance, because now it says the township board can
Yeah.
do that. We would have to
And then
amend
you
the
have to amend
ordinance.
the ordinance
Yeah.
if you want to give the cemetery sexton that authority. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I like having clear rules that the cemetery sexton can follow. 20, whatever number you guys come up with, because that way they can kind of fall back on that. So that way they're not making a judgment call, and then you're not being accused of favoritism, you're not being accused of not doing it correctly, because people have different circumstances. People have large families, they have small families, but they're close to their extended family, you know, you have all of these things that come up. So I would not necessarily do that. I would have the township board, you could amend the ordinance, and then have a policy or cemetery rules saying, you know, when you're going to buy a cemetery grave plot, you know, this is what the cemetery section can and cannot do. This is what we have, the procedure we have to follow, basically. So.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna have a problem with it. I don't have any problem with someone having a larger family than me. And again, I don't want anyone, you know, 10 years from now, they'll say, oh, you got special treatment and I got denied. So I think it should be in the
I can see that.
Yeah.
So I think we should leave it the way it is. Right now it says that you can do 8, and you have to get
If they need 9 or 10.
come to the board for more.
They're not the board. Yeah.
So then we're not changing anything.
So we're taking that,
We can just take that
we're
paragraph.
taking this paragraph out of this
Yep.
resolution. What?
Nothing.
All right, anything else here that we need that we can change this? Okay, now we'll read the resolution, if everybody's okay with that. Resolution number 5 of 2025, cemetery fee schedule for Banks Township, resolution of the Banks Township Board. Whereas the Township of Banks sets fees to fund cemetery operations in accordance with the Banks Township Cemetery Ordinance, as amended November 24, 2025, and whereas to set such fees, a resolution must be approved by the Township Board. Now therefore be it resolved that the following cemetery fee schedule is adopted. The purchase of a cemetery grave for township residents and taxpayers would be $100. For non-residents, $300. Not yet. Burial fees, opening and closing of graves. We currently contract this out to a third-party vendor, so I don't think we need anything with that. In fact, probably scratch that. Sorry, I'll take that out. Other services may be charged on a time and material basis. I don't know if we'll have that situation, but it's in there. Be it further resolved that all resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as the same conflict with the provisions of this resolution shall be hereby rescinded. Be it further resolved that the fee schedule established herein shall be effective 30 days from the date of publication of this resolution. You want to read this, Nicole, just to make sure I didn't screw something up?
No, it sounds fine.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Takes us like to Christmas.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
I've had an uptake in grave sales. I don't know if you've noticed that.
The fall.
There's more in
Yeah.
your box.
Yeah.
All right, then I will do I'll make the motion to do it.
Julie already made it, and I seconded it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part, I apologize. Okay. Then I'll do a roll call vote. Katie?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay, then I declare this resolution adopted.
Alex?
Yeah.
I know, speaking out of order. What happens to the cemetery rules if the zoning goes away?
Nothing.
I don't think anything.
That's the.
Standalone ordinance. It's a standalone.
So since we just talked about the purchase limits, can we do, is Jairus now or later?
Yeah, we can ask Jairus.
We can do it now?
Hey Jairus, thanks for populating the earth with me. Would you like to come plead your case for a ninth grave?
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be coming, but that's fine. I guess probably most of you know that my wife and I have 7 children, and I didn't know there was an 8 limit, so my wife applied for 9. I don't know if you have any questions.
Got any more coming?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I hope you never have to use
Prepare,
it.
you know.
I would move that we accept that, make that exception.
I'll support it.
Okay, motion support to allow the 9th grave for Jairus Rubing and his family. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right. Thanks, Jared. I did have that on there twice, so I apologize. I just shortened it by one thing. No, you had the insurance RFP on there. I did talk to Greg, and he said it's going into Christmas. So he recommended pushing that off to a little bit to the spring. I don't know if anybody's okay with that, but he said it's a huge endeavor. It might be a lot on her plate in the Christmas season. So I'm okay with pushing that off a little bit, unless anybody else really wants it done.
When's our renewal date?
I think it's the April, I think it starts. It starts with the new budget year.
After the first.
Okay. And speaking of that, as I didn't put it on here, I am working on the budget. So we're working on getting the budget to actuals up to date through, well, now I have them up through November, and that'll give us most of the year to kind of plan out the rest of the time and see where we end up. All right, on to the streaming and uploading of meetings. Do you want to say something about that?
I talked to Mike Strange to see for the township doing it and what it would involve and if that's something the board wanted to do. He would set it up for us, but doesn't necessarily want to stay for a 3-hour meeting. So he would show us how to operate it and break it down if you guys are interested, and it would be connected then to our website.
Mm-hmm.
We would have to get a subscription for
Google?
no,
Gmail?
we'd have to get a Gmail account for it, and then if we could either do it through YouTube, and that's free, or we could do it through Zoom, and if we did it through Zoom, then people who are at home, if they wanted to comment in on public comment, they could. And I could see that helpful in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah, it is helpful, but when we had Zoom before, you get those, what are those called, the people that come on
Yeah,
and they
Kate,
say
I seem to
things,
remember
and it
Katie
was
being called some pretty nasty stuff.
It
That was
was a little
unpleasant.
awkward. That was a
Yeah.
little awkward.
I couldn't hit the mute button fast enough. So I'm not real in love with that. If you're at
Yeah,
home,
a bunch
I
of
think
people came on and they
letters
said,
are
"Oh,
adequate.
you?"
To
That was problematic, I would say.
yeah, I would say so. And if we go down that road, I would recommend that we
Nicole, she has something to say on that.
don't put comments out there. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, a lot of places that stream it on Zoom or something, they limit public comment to in person or
A letter.
letters, yes.
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
Like, avoid random people being mean.
Yeah, that was unpleasant. At least I wasn't even taking the brunt of it. Okay, well, I mean, did you look at any more owl stuff? I don't know that we necessarily need something of that magnitude, but I don't have a problem streaming them on our website. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Mike charges $60 an hour to set it up. And he said we can use the computer that Alex has through the township. You have to bring that in. We may have to look at getting a different camera or a mic. And then he would make sure everything is uploaded and archived and all there.
Yeah, he would help us get it on the website, and then we could host it right on the website.
Yeah.
Would that tie in with like a PA system? Because right now we're borrowing.
Yeah, we're borrowing that.
PA, because ours was kind of dangerous.
We can look into doing that. I mean, if we're gonna continue to have a lot of participation where we're gonna be up here, I think that's a good investment.
We used one for a
It's
while.
not,
It's a little, it almost electrocuted us.
yeah, Tina and
And
Katie
some of those
tried
little-
it.
some- it's like a karaoke machine. It was very, yeah. I mean, it was okay for what it did.
Get prices on, Mike can look
Get
at
what?
it.
Prices on,
Sorry?
yeah.
Mike can look at it.
Yeah, I know Mike, well, he used the microphones to do the Zoom
Yeah, he
thing
said something
during
about
COVID, I
disconnected
believe.
the main speaker.
Yeah, he
so that
disconnected the
was-
mains, yeah.
So I can have him look at that. There's an issue. He's working on a computer right now, so I can have him look at that the next time he comes in.
And see if it's
Okay.
salvageable. He
Yeah.
said some of the bikes were just garbage or something, that we need to put them aside and make a motion to dispose of them if they're garbage.
I'll pull it out and put it in my office. And then
Yeah.
then when he comes in to fix that, he can look at that.
Okay.
And then I can get prices on a PA system if you guys want. So we have it for next time.
I'm good with that. We got an issue with,
That sounds wise.
I'd rather have the meetings downstairs, you don't need one.
well, I don't think on Tuesday night you could have fit all those people in the basement. That would have been a stretch. I have my doubts that we'll have that much participation once this issue gets put to bed, but one way or another, but I hope we do. I mean, I welcome people giving us ideas. Yeah.
I think it's worth looking into. Mark, you remember when we had meetings in the little room?
Mm-hmm.
We had like 6 people, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you fit them
Those
all in
days
the
are
office
gone.
downstairs,
Those days
yeah.
are gone, yeah.
I do wanna put the TV,
Outside, out of there, yeah. I started talking to, Dave Mullador about having the East Jordan shop class, unless there's one in Ellsworth, maybe there is and I'm not aware of it. Build us a cabinet for it to protect it, so that nothing can see when somebody's right in the hall. I don't like to put that risk out there for people. Not that they wouldn't be responsible for it, but it's a good way to screw up a fun time, but because the TV broke. So anyway, I'm trying to see if like the school could have the kids build something. If I had time, I'd do it, but I don't. If anybody else is a woodworker and wants to help out with that, I'd welcome that. But
I just wanted out of wood.
well, it'd be wood with a plexiglass cover. Yeah, is my thought.
Ellsworth has a class, a woodworking class.
Would it?
I thought you meant you wanted it welded, that's what you.
Oh no, I don't need it. No,
Oh,
I don't think it needs to be
yeah.
that strong.
Ellsworth has a woodworking class.
Really?
Yeah,
Good.
I can
All right.
I can reach out to Aaron and ask him
Have at it.
if he wants.
My thought is something pretty simple. It would be a lot like those shadow boxes that are downstairs right when you walk in, just the right size for the TV. We could pull the power up right behind it and have an HDMI cable that hangs out of the bottom that we can hook a laptop up to if we want to display the budget or whatever, the website, whatever. And we could use that for presentations, which would be very helpful because my laptop and extra monitor ain't cutting it. So, yeah, if you want to reach out and see if they could, it wouldn't be a real big deal.
I'll ask him.
Okay. And then you want to get some quotes on some stuff, I'll help you if I can be of assistance
Okay.
for whatever pieces of equipment. Okay? Anything else with that tonight? All right, we'll move on. The Township Master Plan, resolution to put it to the 63-day review period.
I just got it like 2 days ago. I'd like to table that until I get a chance to read it.
Okay, that's fine.
Can that
Yeah, I figured that was part of the 63 day thing,
allow
but.
me, I'll solve that opportunity? Or is that,
Yeah, I think that
have we
we-
taken some official?
Yeah, I think we approve it to send it down to 63 days.
Nicole.
Any idea, Nicole? What that was?
No,
What does the resolution say?
Not
Draft
exactly.
resolution for the board to consider authorizing the 63-day review period, so the board does have to,
Yeah, that begins the period for,
Right.
yeah, we would have to vote on it to allow the public to start reviewing it. I mean, we don't have any input on it anyway until that point, right? You guys have done the work, if I understand the process, right?
Yeah, it just goes out to everybody, including Mark. He can read it and then put his input in.
Yeah, you're just recommending the distribution of the master plan, you're not approving that yet.
I mean,
You're
That
getting-
approval happens at the end of the 63 days.
At the end, yeah.
is that, I mean, if we tabled it and pushed it off to December, I mean,
That'd be
if you found something you didn't like, I don't even think you could send it back to the planning commission at that point until they until you've done the review, but I'm just stabbing in the dark here.
So once you guys do this resolution, you're authorizing it to basically be distributed. This is the draft plan. The people, it'll go to different entities, like the county planning commission. You guys will have a chance to sit with it for 63 days and make changes if you need to make changes. And then at the end of that comment period, you'll get the comments back. The public will be able to make comments on it as well. So if you want to make changes, then you can do that at the end of that period. So you're not, Mark, you're not approving the master plan right now. You're just approving the distribution of the draft.
So what?
No, I'll read it for you right now. Would that help?
Well, Patty just did, but.
Oh, did you? You read the whole thing?
No, not the whole thing.
You mean the whole master, you don't, what do you mean by the whole thing? The whole resolution?
Yeah, it's all the whereases. So my mistake. I'm sorry. I was looking for it because I didn't know you had it pulled up already, Patty. I'm sorry. Anyway, go on.
The other question I have is, what is the relationship of the master plan if zoning is repealed? Is it any benefit or?
It's just a policy that the township has. If you want to adopt it, that kind of shows where you want the future of the township to go. Its relationship to zoning is that the zoning ordinance has to be based upon that master plan. But if you don't have a zoning ordinance, you don't really need to have a master plan either.
So maybe with that, we should table it and wait until we find out when we have a zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from with that, but I think that we got a ways to go. And I really don't, I don't want the planning commission to stop their work. We've done the work on it. We paid Beckett and Reader a lot of money to get this master plan done with the planning commission, and I'd like to see the community get some involvement on it. You know, if we don't end up using it down the road, okay. I mean, that's the way it goes, but it's not a done deal yet, that zoning will be repealed. And so if we have it, we should have it updated. And we're at that 5-year window right now.
Yes.
Which puts us, I think, outside of the state statute, right? So, I would, I'd make a motion to pass the resolution after I read it, if that's all right with you guys. All right, the Township of Banks, Antrim County, Michigan, resolution recommending the distribution of the Township of Banks Master Plan. Whereas the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, MPEA, authorizes municipal planning commissions to prepare a master plan pertinent to the future development of the municipality. And whereas the Planning Commission has prepared a draft master plan for the municipality to update and replace its previous community master plan. And whereas the Planning Commission at its November 18, 2025 meeting approved by motion recommending that the Township Board of Trustees authorize distribution of the draft master plan pursuant to the MPEA, the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. And whereas the Township Board of Trustees authorizes the distribution of the master plan to the general public and the various entities as required by the MPEA, for review and comment purposes. And whereas once the distribution period is expired, the Planning Commission will convene a public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved, the Township Board of Trustees hereby authorizes distribution of the draft master plan. And then the certificate part of it. That's that. I move that we approve this resolution. Julie supports. Any further discussion?
So it sounds like that after the 63 days, it goes back to the planning commission?
For them to work on it and take in those comments, right?
Public hearing? I thought I heard you say public hearing.
Yes. There will be a public hearing on the master plan, and then it'll eventually get brought back up to the board, sorry.
Thank you, yes. Whereas once the distribution period is expired, the Planning Commission will convene a public hearing. So after 63 days, then they can hold their public hearing on it.
into January.
It gives you over 2 months to review it and offer up your comments.
January.
Yeah. Yep. Any other discussion on this item? All right, then I'll do a roll call vote. Richard?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Julie? And I'm a yes. Okay, then that. I hereby certify that the foregoing resolution was approved by a majority of the members of the Township Board of Trustees by roll call vote at a regular meeting of the trustees held on November 24th in compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
And when will we get copies of it? They'll come from Beckett and Raven?
We have them.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah, I think I forwarded
Yeah,
it.
it's
Yeah,
So how many pages is it?
I don't recall.
So we have to read it on our computers or?
Yeah.
Or have somebody.
But they're not,
Have somebody
Beckett and
print it.
Rader is not
There's
giving
lots
us
of
like
pictures.
20, sorry?
There's lots of pictures.
Okay, I just wondered if they were giving us like spiral bound or anything like that. Since it's a
Extra.
draft, yeah,
Costs extra.
that would cost them.
Another $1,000.
That makes sense. Okay, so I'll read it on my computer.
Yep. Save a tree. All right, record storage and access. I put this on here because we were looking at the PA system, and it kind of came to my attention that there's election records in one closet, along with maybe the PA system. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that those things are all supposed to be segregated. You got some records downstairs, is that right?
Yeah, one closet.
And the assessor's got some.
Yeah.
So I think we need to start looking at how we can segregate that stuff so that, don't you think?
Yeah, just get two
Okay.
different locks.
Okay.
That's what I told them.
Yeah,
I told them
there's two
separate
closets, just two separate locks.
Just wanna make sure
Yeah.
we're all good.
I told them that too. We could put a different lock
Yeah,
on the
just
other
have a
closet
locksmith come in and,
and put one in one and election stuff in the other.
no worries. There's two closets, they can be two, yeah.
Well, that's easy. Thank you. Thank you both. Let's,
Do you want me to get a price for
yes,
locks?
get a quote for a locksmith to fix the locks on that thing.
Okay.
Cool, great. Attorney communications distribution. So I'm often at a loss as to what to spread about and what not to. So, I want you guys to be fully informed of whatever, but I don't want to overload your inboxes either, so. And then we have other things that come up like this memo tonight that I want to get out to the public, but can't, without a full vote of board, and I don't know especially if we just wait every time something like that comes up for a meeting, maybe that's the best policy, and we just wait, weather the political storm until we have a meeting and can vote to release that information, or if somebody else wants to tell me how to do this job better, I'm all ears.
So are you referring just to the likes of the one we just read, or are you
No,
referring to
every email I send to Cole and Catherine and Michael. I mean, what do you guys?
We're paying for them all, and
Yeah.
I guess I think we all should see.
Copy everything, got it, okay, I'll forward everything.
Well, this was actually my question. I mean, I see an invoice of, $4,000, and I haven't seen any of these attorney privileges. We're all 5 entitled to get all the same information. I don't really care about procedural questions about your job. Do I have to, dot the I and cross the T? But I feel like when it comes to issues of zoning, bigger things that we are all gonna have to.
You're gonna vote on that, totally
We're all
makes
gonna
sense.
have to know. We all need to know the same information. I would like a BCC, I'd like a blind time.
I guess that's what I wanna know, is
Yeah.
which ones do you want?
Yeah, I
So
don't
you're
care
not
about
getting the-
procedural. I don't care about procedural
I
things
think
that are.
you just send them all, and we discern ourselves which ones we wanna read. I can just ignore whatever ones I don't wanna see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would like our office to, copy everybody on communication?
Well, that's a lot easier than you do it, instead of me.
Yeah, you do it, yeah. Blind farmhouse.
Oh, yeah.
So easy, yes, please.
I don't think I have everybody's email addresses,
I'll
so
send them to you.
Yeah, we
you
can
can
fix
send them
that
to
real
us, and then I'll let Catherine and Michael know to make sure we copy, blind copy all of the board members. Because you are going to be all copied on this, there will be no reply all for you guys, because I don't want you guys to discuss what's going on. So if you have a question,
to that point, if we do send an email to everybody, make sure it's blank or a copy.
You know what that is, Richard? When you do BCC, then you can't reply. You
Yeah,
cannot
because it
reply
doesn't
to
show you
all.
who else it was sent to.
You can only reply when you send it. That way you don't, you can't inadvertently hit reply all and inadvertently have conversation, you know, so that's what BCC does for you.
Okay, anything else on that?
Can we have a motion for that, please?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Katie makes our supports. Any further discussion?
And the motion is,
For the, I'm sorry. I'll offend you, sorry.
what would you like the motion to say?
The attorney's office will BCC everybody on the board with all communications.
Who supported it?
Mark?
He said the attorney's office, but by the same token, if you initiate the communication,
Yeah.
you gotta do the same thing,
Oh, yeah.
then you gotta say everybody.
Well, and, okay, anybody that communicates with the attorney's office should be using BCC.
Or you'll get a response
Yeah.
via email and then the response will come back and then we'll see what the original question was.
Okay.
Does your response always contain the original question? Do you always respond to the
Not necessarily.
first email?
Not necessarily, no. Cause if, like, I get two questions about the same thing, I might start a new thread and say, hey, I received this email on this date, and this email on this date, and these are the answers to that. So, we try to do, continue the thread, but I don't wanna say definitively that that's 100% of the time, so.
Okay.
So that means the motion should read that any communications to the attorney
To or from.
or from are
BCC all.
BCC all board, okay.
Any communication between board members and the attorney.
Any communications between board members and the attorney are BCC. We good with the motion?
Attorneys,
Yes. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Motion, support, any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, RFP for the planning firm. It's been quite a while since we've done that. At least 10 years, Katie, I believe. So I know Mark and Richard aren't happy with Beckett later, and I can't blame them. The way that they've handled a couple of motions from the planning commission, I can definitely see the frustration. And so I did talk to John Iacangeli, I'm sorry. Not Italian. I talked to him, and he wondered if the planning commission worked better with Ken. That might be an improvement. You're the longest serving one on the planning commission, so welcome your input here, Patty.
He's far more decisive and direct. Ruben he tries to be so diplomatic, it's difficult to get straightforward. Here's my suggestion.
Mhm.
So Ken had a far more direct, forthright manner in terms of communication.
Which is probably helpful in a board that has had such high turnover, right? To help you move things along. Anyway, with that, you asked for it on the agenda, so is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. We put an
We
R.
don't have a contract with them. We haven't had one, I think, since like 2019. And we've had the same one for so long, so even if we stay with them, that's fine.
Yep.
But it doesn't hurt to, I know there's a.
Oh, I agree, I think we should, just like insurance, we keep everybody honest and whatnot.
But is this a really good time to do that while we're in?
Probably not.
Potentially, I mean, I'm thinking, are we wasting their time too? And say, well, we might have zoning, we think we have zoning now, we might not have it in 3 months, but we might, because there might be a vote. Is this really the best time to change shifts? We can change captains, sounds like maybe if we change captains.
I mean, I'd like to
we
have,
wanna change
I'd like to get Ken a shot. I thought he did a pretty good job, the last couple of years. I know we switched over Ruben to, do it as a cost saving measure. I think he lives closer and doesn't have to drive as far, as Ken does, but, yeah, given where we're at and the big issues you guys are tackling down, at the planning commission, he might be a better solution.
To me, like they gotta do their job, when the planning commission makes a motion and asks the planner to come up to do something, in this case, 3 times, to come up with language, and they come to the next meeting with no language. It's just not, it's not acceptable. If Ken can get the job done, I guess so be it, but the last 3 or 4 months, they have not done the job.
Yeah, I've made John well aware of that.
I don't think it would hurt to start the RFP process. Doesn't mean we're gonna switch planners in the middle of this issue, because it would take us months anyway to.
I don't think we can switch until after the master plan is done anyways.
That's fine, I'm not in a hurry to switch, but I think we should look at what's out there.
We start collecting, how are we gonna go about it? We gonna call planners, are we gonna
MTA.
ask the attorneys if they wanna do it? Cause I'm pretty sure you guys do it. You need that on your, what?
It depends on if you just want quotes from these firms, or if you want to actually go out to a competitive bid or an RFP process. You could reach out to FTA to have their suggestions. You could put an RFP in, I think there's a couple of planning associations in Michigan that you can put it out to do it that way as well. Or if you know some planners that are around, you can ask them directly. It depends on, I don't know if you guys have a purchasing policy that dictates how you do it, so.
Would you be willing to give us a list of the planners that you work with through the counties?
No, it isn't the trust.
Or through the governments?
I know of 2 off the top of my head. That's Beckett Rader and Denise Klein right now, but I can ask Catherine as well. She would know more planners than I would. So, and I can give you guys that list, so you guys can go forward. I don't know if they're gonna be up here based or if they're gonna be more downstate based. I know Denise Klein has I think an office in Gaylord, but she technically lives in Lansing or something. But so there's travel things as well. But I can ask Catherine to see if she knows of some planners that are planning firms around. Okay? I don't know that off the top of my head.
All right, so you moved to do an RFP, or somebody support it? Okay. I'm gonna do that through a couple of those avenues that she mentioned. I mean, I think the planning association thinks probably a good idea too. Put it out there for everybody. Never know, who might come back. Maybe there's one in Charlotte or something, I don't even know if they exist, right? Okay, any further discussion? Then, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed the same? Okay. All right, then on to the public safety substation in Atwood. I kind of pretty much talked about that. I guess I'm looking to see if the board is interested in going down that road. There's a bathroom in the building, so I've kind of been kicking this around in my head a little bit, how this might look. Dad and I went out and kind of looked at how that piece is broken up. Obviously, you got up on top of the hill, and it's all fill dirt that apparently Trent Brothers moved over from next door when Closter's was getting all built up or something, or in the back of Closter's or something like that. Anyway, point being, where the building is sitting on filter. And there apparently was some blueprints out there for a lean-to that would be able to be added on to that building. Mark has no idea where they are. And I don't know where they might be, but anyway, you could do a lean-to. We are very short on any kind of extra space for our fire department at this point. There's no room down here, there's no room out there for anything. You know, we got that 6x6 donated to us from the ambulance authority, and I think they managed to squeeze it in that building, in Atwood, but that's it. If we ever do want to pursue a dive trailer or something like that, we don't have anywhere to put it. So one of my thoughts was, and okay, so let me back up a little bit more. Kind of there's two things spurring this on. The ambulance authority, or at least the director, is real interested in putting a substation out there. And I know we talked about it before, about having some access in Ellsworth and Atwood and the Lake Shore for some ambulance services. And then on top of that, Sheriff Hope called me last week and asked about, is there any room out there that I could, we could put an office and I could park my guy out there and he could be a presence in Banks Township, which to his credit, that was a huge complaint in the 2024 election of sheriff, was that we're the redheaded stepchild of Antrim County, and so he's trying to do what he can to put something up here. Now, Jairus and I talked about this and whether or not the county would be able to assist or pay rent or anything like that. They don't do that in any other township, so I think that's off the table. And to Jairus's point on the phone, there's not a lot of crime that we know of in Banks Township, so is it worth it? I don't know. But I want you guys all to know that the sheriff has asked a couple of times. He tried to do something here in Ellsworth last year, I believe, early in the year.
We couldn't find a place for him to be here 20
Talk about putting that
yeah.
room back there.
There's
what we tried, and there just is not a place to make it work reasonably, because they need at least an office that they can lock because of the security requirements of their software. So those two things combined, what could we do? There is a bathroom in that building out in Atwood, and I thought an option would be that we basically build that current building out into the station. So you'd have some sleeping quarters in there. There already is a bathroom, so theoretically the shower shouldn't be that big of a deal to add into it. Then you could have some sleeping quarters, a little break room in there. You could have an office for the sheriff if he was going to be there, and then there might be still enough room for one bay for a vehicle or something like that. Or a treasurer could have an office out there. Yep. And then we could move or put below the hill a bigger building for all the actual vehicles. That was just a thought that I had. Instead of, you heard this during the planning commission and this SUP, the setbacks or the right of way on Byers and 31 up there are really goofy. If you want to give yourself a headache, go on MDOT's website and look at the map. And don't try to explain it over the phone to somebody. Anyway, point being, I don't know how much we could move it and add on to the south. But we already have a good building that's heated, and we could start thinking about building that out into a station and then add on something that you wouldn't need any plumbing down below the hill for a building to store vehicles. You'd need heat, because I keep the trucks all heated. But anyway, that's kind of long soliloquy.
What about even like a tiny home? Would zoning allow a tiny home to be put there? Let's remember the bank was there.
I'm not gonna answer that.
A separate small dwelling for.
Well, it can't be an ADU because you got to live on the property, so that wouldn't work.
But I mean, a single wide or something. Because I remember when the bank was there, that was a single wide trailer.
I don't.
You don't
No,
remember
that-
Western Savings State
that was
Bank? Y'all
before me.
remember that, FMB, remember the bank out there? Yeah.
That was just a little bit before me.
So a couple questions. One, how can this integrate if, I mean, the option, we just barely discussed it, but of Torch Lake taking over some of that area?
Yep, that's a
How
good
would that
question.
impact this kind of thing for one?
Yeah, Torch Lake's an interesting question. I will tell you that I've talked to Jesse Silva, who runs the Lake Charlevoix EMS, and, about it, because they're already servicing Norwood, and he would like, if he could pry us away from Jordan Valley somehow, I don't even know what the legal requirements are on this, so, Julie probably does. And we can work on that after this, Julie, but, if for some reason they were able to pry us away from the Jordan Valley EMS, he would want to put a substation out there, because his goal would be to try to talk Torch Lake into becoming part of that. And, I mean, that's just how it works. I mean, he's got, but bigger is not always better too, so, the point is, I guess, if we had something built out there, I think the only one that wouldn't necessarily take advantage of it would be if we partnered up with Torch Lake. So.
And the other question I would have is, what is the need as far as, you know, logistics? How many times does our fire department need more than they have? Or how many times in a year does the sheriff's department have to do something out there that they're slow in response, or?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I mean, it would be, the sheriff's department would be preventative in nature, right? I mean, they would just be out there, whatever the guy's shift would be. The ambulance would be, the goal would be to have a 24-hour truck out there, for access for the whole western, service area, right?
Yeah.
Faster response time.
Faster response, yeah, strokes, seconds count, right?
Accidents on 31, those,
Yep.
like Eastport, we know, those are fatalities. I mean, we
Yeah.
have we need someone there on the spot. And you do have a lot of population in the Dells, all along the lake shore. That is so densely populated. So that would be, the response would be Atwood.
Yeah, I mean, they would come to Ellsworth as well, obviously, because it would be closer. But to answer your question of how often are they out here, I don't know. I can't give you that answer right now. I can't tell. Well, we got the list here of what the sheriff's done out here, but you can look at that. Mostly car-driven accidents, but there is the occasional thing where it might not be good, and it's always preventative, right? Anytime an officer's around, it can be helpful in preventing.
As our community ages, it probably takes more calls. But,
Yeah, that's true.
But on the other hand, population is down 12% from what it was in 2000.
Is that year-round residents? Yeah, versus, I mean, I would, pulling out of my driveway all summer long, in your business, I can tell you, there's more people in this community all summer long than there ever was when I was a kid,
Is
so.
there 1,900 property owners? There's 2020 parcels.
And there's like just over 1,400 registered voters.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
It's like, yeah, but in the summer, yeah, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people. And again, our population is aging, and those are the places where you need to make calls more often. That and 31, US 31 is where the serious accidents happen.
So this
When they
doesn't
happen,
mean
yeah.
that our township is getting into the ambulance business.
I know. I
We
have
just
no
own the
interest.
building.
In fact, correct, we would own a building with space in it, and we would rent that to the ambulance. This is my pie in the sky thought, so take it all with a grain of salt, else we voted on. But my thought would be that, yeah, we would have this space and we would rent it out to the ambulance authority, whether that's, whoever that is, to have a space there.
Yeah, we don't want to, we can't afford an ambulance. We can't afford to run.
We have one, and
It's a response.
yeah, it's not an ALS, and they can't transport, so, yeah,
It's expensive, very expensive.
it is,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
expensive. Anyway, that's a thought, anybody interested in this, in the, like, pursuing that a little bit and at least seeing what might be out there and how we can.
See what we can fit a pole barn on that property, how big it could be, 'cause that would be great for all the vehicles, the dive team. And you probably easily could convert the whole barn into
I don't think
some
it'd be
kind of
that difficult.
dwelling,
I mean,
some sort
there's
of.
a builder right there, but he might have some input. Okay, I'll work on that, see. If anybody else has any ideas, don't be shy. All right, moving on to the fire department radios. I think you guys all got emailed a quote, and is it in here or not? You did? I didn't forward that to you guys?
Yeah, I saw
Oh,
it.
all right, man, thank you, Mark, for making me realize I'm not crazy.
I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't get a quote.
$3,000 for a radio.
It's very pricey, and those are the cheap ones, Richard. So, the request, let me see if I can find it here for you. My apologies that you two did not have that. But long story short, to echo Richard, they are $2,564.79 a piece. They are 800 megahertz radios. There are some Motorola's that are out there, but these are Kenwoods. Motorola's are far more expensive. So this is the budget option.
What did you set aside in the budget fund?
I wish I would have written that down before I came here. We did budget, I thought 10,000, because we were thinking about 4, but, but we also budgeted a bunch for a dive trailer that we might do, and we're not doing that. But they don't even want it right now, so. So I think we have the funds in the fire budget to handle it.
For how many?
4. It'll be $10,000 outlay, just over.
I mean, do we have any choice? I mean,
Well, you do. I mean, they have enough. They have radios right now that, you know, they get the job done. But when they have these huge accidents on 31, they're trying to move traffic around. And one guy, you know, they got one guy up at Rex Beach Road, and the other one at Eastport, and you know, they don't have enough. But they have some, but just not enough for enough of the guys to have it. And it makes it difficult when they're trying to negotiate those kinds of big accidents or big events. So that's why they're asking for them.
$2,000. Well, fireman's gear, you got $2,000.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
What would you
Probably
put it?
equipment.
Equipment and supplies, you did 22,000.
There you go. That's it.
22,000, yeah. $22,770.15.
Yeah. And who's got any of it yet? Don't think so.
You actually did, but there's a credit in there. We got a credit for radios or something, remember?
Yeah, that was from multiple.
Like 2
Yeah.
years.
It's multiple years ago.
Yeah,
that
2 or
was
3
supposed
years
to
ago.
That's why this number's off a little bit, because that money is sitting in there.
And we have over 200,000 on the fire fund.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reason not to give them that equipment. So I would move that we approve that request from the fire department for 4 of those radios. All right, Richard supports.
Can you send me that quote, please?
Yeah, I'll try again. Apparently, like I said, got through to 2 guys. But yes, I will send it to you right now. All right, so motion and support by Richard for 4 of these radios, 4 times 2,564. And any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same? All right, that motion carries. Okay, and we get to the Jordan Valley loan repayment extension. I've mentioned this before. Cash is super tight, and I would ask that, I'm gonna make a motion that we offer the ambulance authority an extension on their first repayment to January 20.
Are you optimistic we're gonna get those payments?
Oh, we'll pay it.
We'll
If,
pay
if,
it?
if we
Okay.
don't, if you guys don't approve it, we'll pay it, but, then we're gonna come back here and ask for more money. So, that's my motion. January 20th, 2025. 26. Try to stay young, Mark.
Support.
Richard supports. All right, any further discussion? All right, then all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed the same? Okay. Okay. I will then, is there anything else that popped into somebody's head while
Was
we're?
there any,
Oh, I'm sorry.
fireman's dinner or anything this year?
I asked about that and, they are not, they haven't worked on that. They wanna move it to the summer, for better participation. So, they were gonna do that this year and then, I don't know, the year got away from them and they didn't do that. Okay, this has been added to me, so I'm gonna make a motion to add to the agenda this school's community theater use of the hall. Just wanna add it to the agenda. Support that. Any discussion or concern?
What is it?
Well, the school wants to use the hall, and we need to talk about how much we want to charge them for heat.
What we do with tag-alongs.
$50 a month.
Yeah.
So.
First,
When
let's
don't-
let's add it to the
They
agenda.
don't- Yeah, that was just to add
So
it
the
to the
motion is to
agenda.
add it to the agenda. Anybody have a problem?
No.
All approved, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Thank you.
Okay, so
Okay.
the school wants to start, they don't have a theater group there, and they wanna do a theater group. And so, it's a community project. My mother-in-law asked today if I would bring it to the board. They don't know when they would come, they're not that far into the planning stages yet, but they would wanna put the theater on here for the community. Once they got all she's gonna come with more information, so part of it is I don't have all the information yet. They would need this space when they start setting up sets and rehearsing. It's a one-act play. I think she said it was a one-act play. So they would just need somewhere to rehearse once they're going more, and then to actually put the play on here. So they asked what would be the cost if there is a rental fee, if there is a heat fee, if there is an electric fee, because they're prepared to ask for donations, so what would we require of them so they can figure that in with what they're doing.
And it's not gonna be on weekends, is it? Because we have
No.
like rentals on weekends, so that would be,
I can tell them that.
right, cause those would be like $1,000 rentals we would
Yeah.
lose out,
Yeah. Potentially.
potentially.
It sounds like the practicing would be during the week, right after school, from the way she made it sound today, and that wouldn't even start until, what I write in there, like March.
February, March, yeah.
Yeah.
After January.
But she said after January, and then she said February, maybe March.
Sounds like there's a lot of concrete details here
Right.
for us to work off of.
So, I need to know, is this an option? If it is an option, what would they be looking at money-wise? I know everything would go through Jan as far as rental goes, but for them, for cost-wise, what are they looking at?
Yeah, because we can't donate the hall, but they can provide a community event, they can provide the culture.
You can't donate the hall for a community event like that?
You can, I said we can't donate the hall, but if it's gonna be like a community thing, we could.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's
It
what she's
is.
saying, so I'm thinking about like, what we charge for heat for tag-alongs, to me, that seems fair.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
The same deal with the tag along
We
Tuesday.
use the hall, use it. It's
That's a
here.
good thing for the
It's to be-
community and.
It's to be used.
So do I just let her know it's $50 for the heat, and then have her reach out to Jan
Per day.
Yeah.
Right? $50 a day to heat it.
They did, I think tag along does 50 a month, but tag along is once a week.
Once a
So
week,
Joyce did bring that up. So tag along is once a week, and it's $50 a month. And Joyce said that they are looking at, if they have to rehearse, it could possibly be like 2 or 3 days during the week, so would it be higher than the 50, so they can plan for that.
If it's in the spring, it's probably not gonna be that cold, and once it's warm up here, we keep the doors closed, and, it's not gonna be $50 a day, I don't think.
So we don't already have a policy for this type of thing?
I don't think we have an actual policy for community events, but maybe we should have. I mean, I'm
Just
open
for
to
all rentals,
writing
is it?
something.
Like for the public, not for the community.
Right. But I'm good with giving them the same deal. Like you said, it's gonna be warmer by the time that comes around. And I'm fine with giving the same deal as tag along Tuesdays if others are.
It's free to anyone that comes, just like Tag Along Tuesdays, it's free for all the children in the community to come to. It's not a pay-per-use, it's a private event, it's a public,
Right.
it's a public endeavor, it's a public, service, yeah.
Okay, well, I move that we do that. The, community theater gets the same deal as Tag Along Tuesdays for their one-act play they wanna do.
So is the deal per month, or is it?
It's $50 a month is what I think we're understanding
Yes.
without having it written down in front of me.
Tag Along Tuesdays, $50 a month.
Yeah, the calculus all changes on this if they're gonna have it on a Saturday night, so.
Well, a one-time event on a Saturday night is fine, again, for
Let's-
the community, but if they're having all their practices on weekends, that's
Yeah,
a
that-
problem.
No, and that, I got you. No, it'd be after school.
All right,
I
motion
will-
and support. Julie supports. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, motion carries.
I'll have Joyce get a hold of GM and go from there. And I'll let GM know.
Anything else that we need to discuss tonight? Okay, then I'm gonna open it up for public comment again. 3 minutes at a shot. Julie?
Hello, Julie Waterman, Banks Township. I want to thank Alex for serving on the Ambulance Authority Board. I served on that board for 6 years, and I can tell you it's more challenging than being on the Township Board or the Planning Commission. It is very difficult, so thank you, Alex. And for the few people in this room that can remember back, it was, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I first brought up the substation in Atwood. So Alex didn't bring this up for the first time
No,
tonight.
that's true.
We've discussed
I don't wanna
it.
take credit for that.
No, I don't want credit. I'm just saying that this has been an issue, and when I served on the Ambulance Authority Board, the response time to Atwood was a serious concern to me. We need a substation out there. Whether it's Jordan Valley, Torch Lake, or Charlevoix, that doesn't really, it doesn't really matter. You guys will figure out the best place to work with. And that was something that I pursued as well. We should look at those other two for the west side of our township. Because response time to those of you that live in Atwood is frightening to me, and that shouldn't be. And I don't live in Atwood, but for you guys' sake, that has been a worry to me. Anytime I hear an ambulance, I wonder, is it going clear out there, and is that person gonna make it? Because that is it's not a good response time. And there is an agency that can figure out those times, those response times, and I can't remember the name off the top of
Okay.
my head, Alex, but
No, it's-
they can be able to tell you, and I'll look in my notes and find it, because of course I have all my notes. So it is something that a substation is important, regardless of what agency services it. That's up to you guys to figure out, but I hope you do, because I think it's critical to everybody that lives on the west side of this township. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Patty?
Is that a given? It kind of sounds like you're saying that if zoning went away, that the planning committee would go away, because
That's what she meant by it's tied, right?
Yeah.
I think that is a bad thing. I think we need a planning committee.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, they're one of
There's- I don't know. I definitely want zoning gone, but I think we need a planning committee. We need a lot of planning.
Define, okay, I'm doing this back and forth thing.
Okay,
But
yeah, no, that's all right.
define planning, because you got 3 minutes, so define, what do you see a planning committee doing if there is no zoning?
Looking at the future of Banks Township and what we can do to improve it, to bring in business and
Okay.
to improve the quality of life for the people that live here. I mean, you got two communities that are both kind of small, but what does Central Lake have that we don't have? They obviously, well, they obviously have something, because you can drive right down Main Street and there's businesses all over, and we're dying. We have like, what? Good Samaritan, Good Samaritan, Good Samaritan. I mean, and nothing against Good Samaritan, they're wonderful, but.
It's a good question. But
Yeah,
those
yeah.
would be two separate things. There would be, the planning commission that would be dissolved would be the planning commission that is related specifically to zoning. And then you'd have to develop some sort of community group that would be a planning, you know, a goal-setting DDA type thing.
Right, I just
guess
would not
that's
want to see
that's
that.
where I'd go, is to the DDA.
I just would not want to see that go away. And I want to make one comment on the people that keep bringing up trying to compare the village of Central Lake to Banks Township. That's apples and oranges. A village and a township. It's, if you believe the houses touch each other when you open the door, number one, give me a break. You put your house too close to the property line also. But I don't believe that for a minute. So,
Okay.
that's all I got to say.
Thanks, Patty. Mitch?
Mitch Diston, Banks Township. I promise I won't talk about female menstruation this time, because I know last time that argument didn't really hold with a lot of people. Apologize for that. Yeah, so I just want to go on the record, as well as off the record. I mean, I have a lot of respect for both you guys. Unfortunately, you guys have forced me to dive into the literature on gravel mining more than I would like to know on it, but also your personal histories too. So I mean, I wanted to be known that I have no ill wills towards you guys, and also respect your history for this. Of course, we probably have differences in opinion here, but I think it was Thomas Jefferson who said, a difference in opinion, a difference in politics, or a difference in religion I never found as cause from withdrawing from a friend. And I think that our community really needs to embody that a bit more. So yeah, just want that to be known. And I think, again, I fully understand the economic argument of this, especially the 30-mile radius of this. I think that's quite important. But I do think that the other side of this argument, the public health and the ecological concern, is not precisely being taken into consideration. I think it does require quite extensive studies to fully understand and come to that conclusion. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of those studies, and the one gentleman in the back, I don't think I'm a doctor, I am a doctor. So I want to clear that up, because I also had to tell Travis that, not you Travis, we talked about that later on, but I do have my PhD in biology and ecology, so obviously this stuff is quite dear to my heart, and actually that's why I got into science, and why I wanted to become a scientist is actually just to help people. And I've had massive sacrifices for me and my family to try to do that. So yeah, just try to help the community here. So non-zoning talk, I know that I reached out to you, and I'd like to talk more with kind of the policymakers here, because some of my background, I worked with Eleanor Ostrom for a bit, so she was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in economics in 2008. And so she was very famous for something called the core design principles, which is basically community building science. How do you build better social organizations, whether it's a sports team, go Michigan State, or a community like ours. So there's a few principles I think that we can use from there. For example, I think that I talked to Good Samaritan people about potentially having a community action council, so able-bodied people can help out some of the elder residents, or the people who can't take care of themselves if they need their driveway, snow removal, I can't remember the word right now, but so yeah, there are specific things that I think we should do for the community, and that we can do quite simply. So yeah, I would love to talk to you more about that too. So yep, thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. Anybody else? Annie?
Two things.
We're running out of space.
So, mine's
You
real
get
quick,
the
I
last
promise.
one on this page.
I promise. Well, it's all right, you don't have to make any notes. Two things about the community theater rental. When you say community, is this an invite for community members to join this theater also?
or is this just for school? Because my question is that if it's for school kids only, why don't they use their theater?
They don't have one.
They don't have a stage. They have a stage.
stage.
I'm just wondering
That's
if,
a good
if they're wanting to rent this, is
She
it
made
available
it sound,
to?
Joyce, I think, like, cause it's Joyce and it's Louise.
It is a community theater.
Yeah, it is, it's not, it's with the high school students,
they
but
wanna
it's a
include the
group of
kids.
ladies from the community. So if you'd like to be involved.
Yes.
Well, because I'm kind of thinking that if we're cutting them a discount, which is great, I love community things, can my children be invited to participate?
I assume they had.
Absolutely.
I think that we should have more, I think we, well, my kids are good actors, so. So,
I will give.
I'm a
Joyce-
good director too, I will say.
I will give Joyce your number.
Okay, great. I mean, I would love to see more community things in this town that involve not just school children, homeschoolers, private schoolers, everyone. Which leads me to my next statement. Thank you on behalf of St. Michael High School for supporting us and buying that giant wreath. You just helped us 33% be able to put toward our faith-based education and help us Andersons afford tuition. So, thank you. That's all I've got. Thank you for all you do, again.
Thanks, Ian. Anybody else?
Yeah, Alex, I would just encourage you to sit down with the sheriff and talk about a substation. As probably you all know, Torch Lake Township has a substation, and when I go to Torch Lake Township meetings, it's approximately 4 miles from Ellsworth to the end of Essex there, and then it's another 4 miles on 31 to Torch Lake, so 8 miles from here. But I mean, if you're talking about a substation in Atwood, I mean, maybe that's 5 miles, I don't know. I mean, this substation could be 5 miles from Friskies, and we might be better off just having the sheriff's deputy stay at Torch Lake longer, because if there's a call in Banks Township, he's on it, you know? And I've always been all about a bigger presence in Banks Township. I've been pushing for that for years, but we also have to look at the costs of that, and if we build a new building or an addition, it has to be maintained, and the security is kind of crazy. They invited me into the one in Torch Lake, and they've got to have more than one door to get there, or that's what they've asked for there. So the other thing regarding this is Torch Lake Township at their last board meeting voted to move ahead with 2 license plate readers. So if somebody commits a crime at Friskies and gets in their car and they know what the license plate is, that reader's going to pick it up on 31, or if they take 88, they're going to put one on each, it sounds like, and they'll know pretty quick. The sheriff also has a mobile license plate reader, and he's been using that some around the Mansalona area, and the sheriff in Charlevoix County had some crime that was committed, and they were on the lookout for a license, and they got him. So, and that's super expensive too, and it's not just once, because they have to keep paying again for the software every year. So it's called the Flock license plate readers, what they're using.
Thanks, Jairus. Anybody else? Dave?
I just want to thank you guys for everything you do, and certainly considering the community theater. I did my first play on this stage in 5th grade. And then my junior year in high school, I had a lot of memories. Terrible place, but a lot of fun memories. So I appreciate you guys' support for that. Yeah, I think that's just a good positive ending to a meeting. Last week, everyone saw a very contentious meeting, 2 very clear sides. At the end of the meeting, we all stood up, we all picked our chairs up, we all put our chairs on the same rack, we all got together. We are so much more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that, and I think there is common ground. And I think everyone will get through this, and we'll be better on the other side. We've all learned probably far more than we ever anticipated. I know I certainly have. So I hope everyone knows that is educating themselves and finding the right things. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Mitch?
Mr. Treadwell, I would just like to say thank you for letting me sit in on your meeting. While Banks Township is rural and Traverse City is urban, and the township is a lot smaller in population, our communities do have a lot of similarities. We're both having frontage on East Grand Traverse Bay. That's where we get our drinking water from. We both have to deal with the ebbs and flows of business and especially tourism. As you remarked, there's a lot fewer people than there are in the summer, but we have a tax base dependent on our permanent population, and we have to plan for the transportation and infrastructure demands that larger tourist population entails. We both have to deal with providing police and fire, though for police you contract or you work with the county sheriff. You have to work on providing roads and making sure that the road commission is doing a good job in fixing those. To the issue of planning, a planning department can serve and commission an essential purpose even if you don't have zoning. It can, in addition to recommending zoning ordinances for this board, recommend police power ordinances if there are issues that emerge from land use that should be handled through a police power ordinance. A planning commission, as our planning commission has done, recommend language and go through a process of developing that. Also, a master plan, in addition to, yes, informing your future land use for your planning code, planning and zoning, it also helps coordinate with the county, with regional entities to see where future growth is likely to be and how to plan for transportation, for infrastructure, for community development, broader than just your own municipal boundaries. It can qualify you for grants from Michigan Economic Development Corporation or Housing and Urban Development or other state and federal sources by virtue of simply having that master plan that outlines what your next 5, 10, 20 years are expected to look like. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. Fred?
I just want to say it was encouraging to come in and see all these chairs and all these people here. We were really going to get some input. They all spoke their mind, stirred the pot, and went home. They really don't care how Banks Township is run. They just want to tell you how they think it should be run and left. If they were concerned about my well-being and how you guys did things, they would have stuck around, I think, and come back up here and explain themselves, don't you think? You know? I think they're just pot stirs and you want to get the stink to the top and that's it. So, good luck.
Thanks, Fred. Anybody else? Catherine?
My name is Catherine Drayton. I'm from Banks Township. I have the good fortune to actually live right on St. Clair Lake. It is beautiful there. That's where my family has been there. Maybe not for hundreds of years, but we have been there for at least 30. And my dad, we had originally lived downstate. My dad had bought this for where it is. It is gorgeous there. The water was clean. We have well water. I don't know if anybody's been unfortunate enough to taste real city water. It's terrible. I don't even want to wash my kids in city water. I lived in Anna, Texas. We turned on the faucet, we smelled straight chlorine. It was bad. I love it here, it's beautiful. I am concerned. I appreciate everything that you do. I stayed through the meeting. I would have been here sooner, but I had to cook dinner and I had to get back from work. But I do have some concerns and some questions as now that we have well water again. I've lived here before. My first play was on that stage. I'm no better at public speaking now than I was then, so forgive me. But I am concerned, since we have a water well, we have a shallow well, and I'm worried about, I'm not a biology, I don't know much about gravel mines or pits or whatever you want to call them.
How would that affect our well water, if at all? How would this affect the lakes? And I'm not an environmentalist tree hugger, but I really do love our clean water. I like that I'm able to eat fish out of my lake. Of course, I get a fishing permit to do so. Okay? And also, if for some reason that water was contaminated, how is that going to be fixed? Ellsworth, I know not everybody has well water, but Ellsworth gets its water from wells, I suppose, right? All right, is there any risk of that water getting contaminated? Because that's going to affect everybody. So how is that going to be prevented? How is that going to be fixed? Who's going to be in charge of the water testing to ensure that the water is still safe to drink? No, I don't think everybody's going to fall over and croak. That's a little rough, but I'm just concerned. I brought my family here. We moved 1,200 miles north for clean water. So it's kind of a concern to me, and I'd really like some answers. I'm not pointing any fingers. You know, this community seems rather divided, and that kills me. I wish we could all work together and find some type of common ground. Hopefully there is common ground, because it'd be great to see this community pulled together. And I had another point, but I forgot it. Hang on. Oh, and zoning. Let's keep that. I know it's not a perfect system. I don't think a perfect system totally exists anywhere in the world. But I was raised on good fences make good neighbors. Everybody loves their freedoms and liberties, but they like that until other people's freedoms and liberties start encroaching on theirs. So rules are good. Freedom and liberty shouldn't be without some type of boundaries to protect neighbors from each other. I mean, but I don't think my neighbors would like it if I put up a doggy daycare right by their house. Well, it's my property, I can do what I want, right? No, I don't want to do that. And I wouldn't want anybody to do that to me. So I think zoning should be kept. Does it need to be fixed? Of course. It's not perfect. Could it be improved? I think so. But to toss it out altogether is just, we want to have a place where people will want to bring their families here, will want to move here. This is a beautiful area. Like, we live in a place where some people could only dream of vacationing in. We need to take that into consideration for future planning. I'm not saying put in a huge bistro palace that's overpriced with fancy food, but if we could have room for more families to grow, more stuff to do, maybe a few more businesses. I'm not trying to cause a scene or, nobody here is really rich. We can't spend $45 on a plate of food. But can we work together to make this a place where more families will want to come to, get more kids in the schools? Without the schools, we're done. So let's get more families here. And let me know how I can help. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabby. Anybody else? Once, twice. All right. Close public comment. Is there anything else the board would like to say? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Richard moves. I'm shocked. Julie supports. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate your input and your interest.